witches. Hello, hello. Welcome to Friday. All right. Hello. Good morning. All right. I'm getting right into this. Okay. I really don't know how this one's going to go because I'm channeling. I'm very much channeling, and I'm just going to kind of word of mouth get us going in here. Okay. So here recently, the last couple of weeks, I've really felt called to be doing and connecting with magic. I know that makes some people uncomfortable, but it shouldn't. And I do feel like there's some kind of a message that wants to come out here about that in particular. And so I've just been in touch with just certain ritual and kind of getting myself into the space and really making some kind of connection and calling forth something here. And it's really wanting to come through and to help kind of cleanse this space. And I do just want to put it out there that if you are called at all to just connect with any kind of energy that you feel coming off of me, and you feel that it's safe and that it's good and you can sense the energy with it, that's just being kind of put out here. So let's go ahead and yeah, it's so witchy. It really is. So this is a little bit different, and because I wanted to prepare and consecrate this space today to be channeling guide energy, and I'm really feeling it come in strong. So we've got 3 piles here. Pile number 1, the Father. Pile number 2, the Castle. Pile number 3, the Desert. Okay, I'm getting these energies really strong. So I'll hold these all up. I know you guys could see them in the thumbnail, but so this is pile number 1, pile number 2, and pile number 3. Okay, I'm feeling pile number 1. I kind of feel like this is going to be more of a demonstration, and this has been happening more and more. And I think that's a part of the message that your guides really want to bring forth, is that there's some kind of split here in you where it's like, okay, on the one hand, like I kind of believe in this stuff, not necessarily magic, but just connecting with your spirituality, whatever that means to you. I'm connecting with mine. That's I feel like the demonstration here of like, I'm just trying to get in touch with something that I feel called to kind of explore and move more towards in my own spirituality. I know that can be a really scary thing for a lot of people, and I respect that. It's not scary for no reason. But I feel like you're being called to integrate, to connect with your spirituality more and more, because it feels like there's something here where that it feels kind of like hollow, but you don't quite understand like that there's not a connection here in that space. And I'm like, okay, maybe when you're at home, that's when you like connect. There's like spheres of your life or something like that, where it's like, okay, when you're at home, that's when you explore your spirituality. That's when you do your studying, that's when you right? Like XYZ. And then when you're out in the world, you're this other person, and that's worked for you for a while. And actually that was important. That was an important part of your process because you're learning how to tend your energy, even on a rudimentary level, and you're learning how to keep yourself safe. You're also kind of learning how to read energies, and because you're not, learning where you can kind of open up more and bloom and blossom and kind of, I'm picturing a flower like putting its fragrance kind of into a space where we're all interesting and we're all different and we're all unique. And I do feel that for a lot of you who chose this group, you came from a more masculine side of spirituality, that you understand a more masculine side of spirituality, which most of us do because that's kind of dominated the world space, dominated the plane here for the last millennia, however long. And what I mean by like these more masculine sides of spirituality, it's very disciplined. There's the straight and narrow, right? There's this thing to do. It's very singular. It's one foot in front of the other. And that's not bad. It's just not for everybody, right? And the reason it's for like the more masculine side of things, I'm just kind of channeling this. The reason it's for the more masculine side of things, right? We have that masculine energy that overall is ruled over by Mars. We have the feminine energy that is overall ruled by Venus. Now, that Mars energy is the rudimentary sun. Mars is, by its very nature, naturally a malefic. Now, there's things that means, there's things that doesn't mean, okay? When I say that something's a malefic, it's bad. It's not necessarily bad, but it needs to be handled with care. And there's certain applications. There's correct applications, there's incorrect applications, and you've got to really get in there on that straight and narrow with it, which is why the masculine path tends to involve a lot of discipline. Now, I feel like a lot of you kind of grew up in areas or cultures or conditions that required you to have a lot of discipline, and this is very good because actually discipline and being able to discipline provides you the ability to see yourself very clearly in a no frills, no nonsense kind of a way, so you can more easily connect with truth, and truth is always like a good starting point on the spiritual path. As Gandhi so eloquently and succinctly put it, God is truth. So you have made a very stringent and strict connection with spirit and with truth, and it's given you a building block, a very foundational building block that you could not have connected with in any other way. So I'm just picturing you bowing to that and just saying thank you for that gift of allowing me to connect with truth and just like really no frills, about what truth is. But again, that masculine path, it can be very rudimentary, it's very rigid. So I'm hearing there's gifts that it gave you, and then there's things that it has stripped away. And so for this group, I feel like you are more and more called to step into a more feminine energy, a more feminine way of being, and a more feminine expression of spirituality just for your own journey. This isn't to say that feminine forms of spirituality are correct for everyone, but I do feel they are correct for this group that's been called into this. This is probably why you're drawn to cultures and religions that have a lot of music and colors and foods and smells, and it's not this like everybody wears white and wears the same beads and sits in the exact same way. You probably have had certain experiences when it comes to that. Again, it was meant to give you certain gifts. You know how they say learn the rules so that you can break them well? I feel like that's what this group is doing. And the feminine energy, that Venusian energy, Venus literally rules over creativity, right? So you're being asked to blossom. I feel like you're being asked to connect with your own sense of expression that's kind of untamed. And it's not untamed in the sense that it's just brazen and it follows no logic. This is chaos energy, right? The wisdom of chaos energy. Somebody who connects to chaos energy from a place of ignorance, it's just a free-for-all, right? And there is, as Jung so eloquently put, there is an order in chaos. There's an order in every chaos. And I feel like, again, that was this thing that you've kind of come up through. And you've come up through it in this life, but you do have, this is definitely a group that it could have taken spiritual vows or something in a past life. You have maybe spent a lot of time in monasteries. I'm just feeling like maybe you feel drawn to those more monastic spaces. You feel at home there. You feel at home in your own energy. Spiritual adepts often do feel at home in their own energy because then they can tell where the light's coming from and they can more easily work with their light. And they feel, again, that masculine path discipline word, that responsibility to tend and work towards your own energy. This is a group that has very well mastered that. Very well mastered that. And you are being asked to move on to this different stage. So I'm hearing like the training wheels are off and you are being kind of, it might feel a little bit scary or like you are a little bit out of control. But you can trust yourself because within you, you have the codes. Within you, you have the guidance. Within you, you have the systems. You have this kind of wisdom to step into these more feminine, expressive. I'm hearing it's the time, like in the age of Aquarius, like for all of humanity, it's the time to be connecting with something that is more free flowing and creative. Aquarius is the freak flag, right? Connecting with what makes you interesting and what makes you unique and what makes you different. And it might make you feel uncomfortable. Like me talking about these things in this kind of a way makes me feel uncomfortable, connecting with your energy and masculine path and all these things. It's like, I'm not exactly comfortable with it, but I'm trying to get in touch with something else. I'm trying to kind of trust wherever it's going and trust the knowledge and everything. And I just feel that you are being called to do something very similar. Where you've been installed, this is funny. Where you've been installed is the perfect place for you to be. You are this tree, is what I'm getting. And you give people a taste of a different side of life. And I don't think you realize how intricate this is, because they're showing me like this multifaceted diamond. And I'm kind of connecting yours with the energy of the siren, which, how the siren is very beautiful and it kind of draws people in. Okay, that's what I'm getting. And I'm picturing the Six of Pentacles, but that I have a deck where it's the Six of Pentacles is so beautifully illustrated. It is a woman who is a tree, and she's got her roots in the soil, and she's got her hands in the branches, and she's just beautifully smiling. And it's this beautiful balance of giving and receiving. And I feel like you're being asked to step into this dance in a full way, but you can't do it being like bound and contained by the logical mind. You have to trust the flow. And they're showing me the water being pulled up from the roots, and water is kind of like the flow, and just be peaceful in it. So again, I feel like you've been kind of like installed in a certain place, and I'm hearing like cleansing of the soil. There's something, okay, and this is what I was getting earlier, okay? And this is one of those things that's going to make me feel weird to say, but I'm getting it, so I'm going to say it. I'm hearing channeler. You channel more than just pretty words. Channeler, you can channel more than just logical thought. Channeler, you can channel more than just stringing sentence together. Your energy, your body, your whole being is a channel. You can channel energy, spiritual energies. And we kind of talked about this on the channel before, like creative types. Like I know Michael Jackson said this. A lot of artists have said this, where they say, it doesn't belong to me. And that's the other thing too. And I'm hearing that's where your ego gets like worried about your self-expression, because you feel judged, like your ego feels judged, but it's like you are just channeling something higher vibrational. That's actually the spiritual path. So again, when ego likes to connect with the spiritual path, it draws all these incorrect conclusions of like, well, I am strong and I am powerful and I am this and I am that, and you are none of those things. You can facilitate something bigger than yourself, and that is the highest calling that any of us can subscribe to. And it doesn't have to just look like doing something in the spiritual realm. It looks like whatever, all of life is spiritual. All of life is an expression of God, all of it, even your accountant. And somebody really connects with numbers, and that is their magic, and that is their gift to the world, and that is their artistry. And when you start to understand these things, then the world will open up to you, is what I'm getting. And you can be a little bit like less self-conscious. But again, this is so important for this group, because you have mastered the rigid discipline of the masculine path. So it is like, you are not just, it doesn't, connecting with this expression energy does not mean that it's a free-for-all. It does not mean that you are just vomiting at the mouth or whatever else. Like this just means that you are allowing yourself to express. That's what I feel like it is. And I feel like this group struggles with that. You feel insecure. You feel like, I'm hearing you take on too much responsibility, like just for the way that people respond to your energy. I'm hearing, let whoever think whatever and just keep it pushing. Let whoever think whatever and just keep it pushing. That's not a luxury that every person has, because not every person has reached this level of their own personal development. Okay, this is coming in directly from your guides, okay? So I'm hearing that there are certain people, and I don't feel like it's this group, but there are certain people who don't want to connect with the spiritual path yet, and that's fine. And so the guides are like really kind of pulled back, because to interfere too much would cause harm. So I'm hearing, above all else, do no harm, right? And that's what I think you've kind of mastered with this masculine path. But the other thing that I'm getting, I'm hearing the song from Taylor Swift, and it was coming to me in tones like before. It's like, I just wanted you to know this is me trying. And I feel like your guides just want to come through and say, like, we acknowledge you. We see that you are trying. We see that. We see that you are trying, and we honor the fact that you're trying. And any messages that come through, and for this pile, through anything, and they want to talk about the tarot specifically here in just a second, but any messages that are coming through, you have to just know, connect with us. I'm hearing, if you really connect with us, not just through this mental level, that's what they're saying, is like integrating this. It's like, it's one thing to think, okay, well, I'm being guided along my path, because I think you've had experiences where, you have been guided along your path, that you've received some really helpful information that has come through in love, and it really has served you. I'm hearing the word, they want me to say the word serviced you here in some way. So they're it's a constant process. They want me to use the continuing version of that. You've been sort of the recipient of this constant servicing. If you're feeling a little down, somebody will kind of say the right thing to you, and it helps you understand why, or it'll help you, something like that. You have the ability to know that you have received this kind of constant servicing. So they're saying it's one thing to kind of trust this on a logical level, because as long as you stay in this logical level of like, okay, well, I don't want to get too like weird with it, or I don't want to, and not that you should get weird with it, because there's definitely people that get weird with it, but it's like, just that you can actually connect with that place. So there's something where it's like it's so much more alive than you know. This is something you can feel. This is something that you can live. It's not something that just needs to stay in the realm of the mind, because you're kind of limiting yourself, and it makes you reliant on external sources. And this is a witchy crew, and they're specifically drawing, they want me to bring up like the concept of witchery, because a lot of times witches, it's like they live alone in the woods, and they live in like their dark little hut because they work with the herbs, but they come together in groups. The first time I met a witch was in my religious studies program, and she blew my mind. She was so different than anything that I ever thought about a witch. And I think that was the point, I had seen this caricatured version. That's what they're saying. Step out of the caricatures. The mind wants to put everything like in a caricature. Thank you so much, Gray the Gold Witch. It's like step out of the caricature. The mind wants to limit things, and it wants to tell you that you're this kind of person or that kind of person because you believe this thing or that thing. And they're saying, where did you learn that from? Where did you learn that from? That if you like this, okay. And I heard this quote recently that I will never forget as long as I live, and I've just really grasped onto it. That said, the most boring kind of person is the person where you know all of their beliefs because you know one of them. You know all of their political stances because you know one of them. That on either side, on whatever way, that is the most boring person. They're not alive. They're not dancing with life, and that can go like either way. And they are just saying, this is another thing they want you to kind of be aware of. Okay, this is the thing they want me to connect this into. They want you to be aware of judging people based on the decisions that they make, the outcome, the solution, the result of their mental processing. Okay, and remember a little year called 2020 when a certain major world event occurred, and then everybody was at each other's throats saying that you're a stupid person if you did this one thing, and then you're a stupid person. The other side was saying, well, you're a stupid person if you did this other thing. And my take on that, and I just want you to pay attention to the process behind it, the undercurrent of like my heart and like the way that I was engaged with that, is that for a lot of us was completely unprecedented. We had never experienced anything like that. So we're being thrown into the moment of, okay, well, what do we do? We're all, most of us, well, not all of us, but there are most people, I believe, you're trying to do the best with what you got in that situation, with all the information that you have. And it's not something about like there's a right answer and a wrong answer. I have more in common with somebody who tried to engage with that process with consciousness and earnestness and awareness and consideration for themselves and other people, regardless of which actual decision they made and which actual thing they ended up doing, than somebody who just didn't on either side because their family was doing one thing like on either side, So connect with that energy of like realizing that everybody's engaged in their own process and valuing that and trying to get to know the process. And they want me to link this back to what they were saying about that Taylor Swift song. I just wanted you to know that this is me trying. I feel like this is going to link into pile number 2 for whatever reason, but your guides are saying, we honor you. I just want them to know, I think, that this is you trying, that you are trying, and they see this. This is a group that is earnestly engaged with a spiritual process, and you want to play along. You want to rise to the occasion, and they see that, and they want you to know that. And so they're saying, look, when we come in and give you guidance and stuff, it's because you're ready, and it's because we respect you enough to have an adult conversation on this level, right? But they want you to start adopting that perspective with the world around you. I'm hearing you can't be bristled by every touch. I just wanted you to know that this is me trying. So even the people that bother you and the people who are like, they come at you with this energy that is just white hot nasty bad, right? White hot nasty bad is what I'm hearing. And they are trying to tear you down, and they're jealous, and they're nitpicking at you, or whatever the energies may be. This is where I feel like this is actually going to tie into pile number 2. All of this is sent to awaken you. Your ego needs to experience a lot of different things, and it's all working to serve you. But seeing that human being through the lens of that is actually them trying. And it's not a pass. It's not an excuse for their behavior. They are working through their own things. And okay, they're showing me this thing too. I'm going to repeat this a little bit. When I channel, sometimes I do this. adaptive, maladaptive, adaptive, maladaptive. They want you to remember me doing this. Adaptive, maladaptive, adaptive, maladaptive. Everything that we do, we're all learning how to meet our needs, how to navigate the world, how to rise to certain challenges. So we adapt in order to be able to do that. We know this from a scientific perspective, on an evolutionary perspective. The same is true of our psyche, of our hearts, our minds, and our emotions, right? But there are certain behaviors that are actually and genuinely adaptive. They actually, you learn them in order to meet your own needs, but it's also not displacing anyone else. It's not hurting anyone else. But those maladaptive behaviors are behaviors that, yes, you've adapted to meet your environment, but it's not best in the long term. You're actually going to bump into a lot of consequences along the way. Again, all of it is in order for your highest and greatest good. So you're going to have to unlearn. And I'm hearing that Rumi quote, unlearning is the highest form of learning. They want that to stick with you. Unlearning is the highest form of learning. Recognize that unlearning is the highest form of learning. So those maladaptive behaviors, of which we all have them, they need to be unlearned. And they just want you to see other people through that lens as well. That actually, even though they are harming you, and again, it's not a pass, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't move away from them. It just means that they are actually trying. So a lot of times when people have those maladaptive behaviors, so when they're jealous, they try to pick at you and they try to tear you down. That's them trying to manage their own inner emotional state. They don't have the tools. They don't have any other way to do it. So they're falling back on that. Yes, they need to learn something different. They have their own guides, they have their own path, and they are being worked with. And a lot of times people have to go a lot of people have to live life on unconscious mode. And I don't mean this with I hate the whole NPC thing, like everybody's just NPC, but like spiritually speaking, there are some people that just have to move through their life consciously, and the singular spiritual lesson that they are learning through just kind of bumping up against things, as they're going along, is that maybe it serves them to be more aware, to be a little more conscious. Maybe that is a step that they would like to take. Maybe that is something that they would like to do. And this is where growing up in the church that I did, and I feel very grateful because not all Christian churches are like this, but I was taught the highest form of evangelizing, and the only form of evangelizing that we will be partaking in my church is trying to live the best lives that we can, to the point where people just see that we are full and engaged, happy people, and they may ask you what it is that you're doing. Why are you so well adjusted? Why do you seem to have things all together? And when someone asks you, that's when you can open up and tell them however much you're comfortable with. But we were to be living examples. And I feel like that's what this group is called towards. If you feel that you have a spirituality, this is also part of the feminine spiritual path, is that, again, you're building your own life, and you are your own, your energy evangelizes, your state of being evangelizes. People just kind of want to come more into your energy, and it's waking people up. It's waking people up in a more pleasant way, whereas that more unconscious group that I feel like maybe you've actually had quite a lot of experiences with or bumped up against, and you don't know why they're not, trying to be nice or whatever. They wake people up through, I'm seeing these pearls. Again, I think this is connecting with pile number 2, that grain of sand that's really irritating, and it serves its purpose. And they're showing me huge movements, Black rights movements, the feminist movements, how they had, one arm that was very, very nonviolent, very peaceful. And then they had another one that was more revolutionary, more radical, chaining themselves to the fences, having feeding tubes shoved down their throats. And both kind of worked in tandem in order to create some kind of change. So they're wanting you to see the world more through this lens, that actually everybody that is here, that has incarnated, deserves your respect. This is what namaste means. And that they want you, instead of looking at how annoying that person is, they want you to learn from it. Okay, well, this person is trying, and you're learning all kinds of things about how you don't want to be, and and just kind of moving along. So just seeing that actually they are trying, and just recognizing that somebody else is trying. It doesn't mean that, again, it's an excuse, or that it's okay, or that you need to tolerate them or be around them. It's just kind of moving away. So they're just asking you to integrate. I feel like here in this pile, actually fully integrating your experience and becoming a whole person, and not overnight. But just kind of experiencing it. Or if you are interested in more feminine forms of spirituality, which again, it's cultures that have vibrant colors and foods, and it welcomes diversity. It welcomes a diversity of opinion and feeling and expression. And actually, your spirituality works through your own creative expression, that you are very much being called to do that, and that you are very much being looked after here by your guides. But they're saying, look, like, we're not coming at you to hurt you in any way. Even when we say things that are difficult, it's like there's some things that need to be brought forth or understood. We're all just emerging and waking from ignorance is what I'm getting. So yeah, and I do just want to bring this back to, I feel like you show people another side to life that they are comfortable with or not comfortable with, and you might not even realize that you are doing this, and it's actually a very good thing. Like, we all just we're all a part of this one big dance. And I think sometimes, especially because we're a social species, we can get lost in feeling that when we are not praised, or it's not totally comfortable for somebody to interact with us, that it means that we're doing something wrong, and that it means that we're on the wrong path. And it doesn't always, that all of these experiences kind of like combine to create some kind of a spiritual experience. Now, that being said, like I said, I feel like this one is kind of meant to be a little more interactive, and I have done a bit of a spell because I feel like that's going on in the background here. And again, only join in if you want to, but I do feel that this group has had some kind of evil eye on them in the past, and I just had this chant that was coming to me of basically, it's kind of return to sender, but okay, actually they're wanting me to maybe wait. We'll see if this comes through in the second group or not. For those of you who are connected there. So let me just see if there's anything else that wants to come through here in this space. This is a bit of a more strange message, I know, but again, this is for those of you who it's like you're meant to kind of step out of your comfort zone and to maybe explore the world and different cultures and different ways of expression, playing around with your own expression in a way that first and foremost does no harm. Hello, hello. All right. Yeah, okay. This is interesting. Okay. There's some kind of new offering that's coming through here in this group that your guides are trying to give you. They're trying to actually plant you. They want you to take root here where there's actual sun for you to grow. And I feel like this is joy and positivity and a group that will support you. And I think it could even lead to love here as well. I do think that you have sneaky energy around you, and they just don't want you to be around this, but it's because your spirit is split in two where you currently are. You're kind of fighting this change and transformation that you naturally want to take, and it's intimately linked with your, I just heard sexuality, but also with your spirituality, and the sexual energies, of course, are linked with creative energies. So this creative energy, this creative space is actually meant to give you some kind of very positive new beginning. And it might even involve a change of space, a change of place, actually having you root down into a new space where you're actually safe and protected to grow. But again, you have to trust this more like shadow side to you to actually, and honor it in whatever way you can honor it. They want you to honor it so that you can actually like have some kind of a space to grow. And I feel like this is connected to a lot of positivity, healing, growth, joy, independence, all of those things. And I feel like you've been holding yourself back because you're trying to stay in your comfort zone, but this is a group that's really meant to get up and walk out of your comfort zone here in some way. Yes, unlearning is the highest form of learning. Okay. Yeah, I feel like this group is like very afraid of judgment, but it's like, or you have been judged for being different or unique in the past, but all of this is your teacher. All of this is meant to teach you. It wasn't so that you got judged. Like, you weren't experiencing that judgment energy so that you got judged. It's teaching you that maybe you're kind of in the wrong place, or that though, that not everybody's for everybody else or something like that. It's meant to teach you here in some way about attachment. So maybe pay attention to what you got judged about and why it triggered you. We all get triggered when we're judged. I'm not suggesting that we should all be superhuman or something like that, but just pay attention to it. It's pointing out some kind of place of attachment here, and it's meant to push you inside. It's meant to push you inside with the hermit energy so that you have a change of perspective, a change of experience. This is what they were saying at the beginning. Channeler, you channel so much more than pretty ideas. pretty thoughts, pretty word. Like the Western mind is very obsessed with thoughts and knowledge, but they're saying you channel so much more than knowledge. They want you to have a change of experience, and you can have a changed experience when you start to process these things differently. And first and foremost, that needs to be on a bedrock of everybody's trying. If you come from that place first, you naturally kind of lead from a place of compassion. It doesn't mean that you're any less fierce. It doesn't mean that you're any less no nonsense or no bullshit, but it does mean that you just kind of understand and you go, okay, you're on your path, I'm on mine, and that you bumping up against my energy, I hope and pray. This is the chant that I was getting. Be well, ne'er-do-well. Be well, ne'er-do-well. Be well, ne'er-do-well. Like, just be well, namaste. I see you. You're brave. You've incarnated here, and I have a certain amount of respect for you. God bless you. Thank you for this data. I'm going to move on my way and allow it, again, hermit your energy. Hermit your energy. I feel like this group, like you've been really out of balance and out of whack, but it's because these two sides of you are out of balance and out of whack. And they're just wanting you to work on that. And this has to do with your daily routines and practices. And they want your daily routines and practices to be integrated. So don't just, save your spirituality for the weekend. Don't just save it for Sundays. If you want to do a little bit of meditation, or I'm really getting craft strongly for this pile, like just like a little ritual that, connects you to your witchy attitude, or like your ancestors, or your own creative energetic expression, however it wants to come up and through you before you go in for work for the day. If you want to bless your coffee, if you want to write things on your water bottle, like just bring that more and more into the social realm, I'm hearing, but also just, your daily ritual, your daily life, your daily rituals and practices. And again, I just want to remind you that this is a group that's come up through that masculine path of discipline and truth and no nonsense. And so where you're safe and where you're not. Don't do it just to disrupt the space. That's what they're saying, is like, this is a group that's trusted. You're ready. This is why you're ready to take this next step, is because you're not doing it just to disrupt the space, just to call attention to yourself in some kind of like, look at me kind of way. Aren't I different? And I'm going to bait you into questioning my difference, and then, in order to reaffirm my own ego identity. Nothing like that. It's just genuinely to connect with that in ways that you can. And bringing these two sides together, we've got two energies here of like bringing the conscious self and the unconscious self more and more, bringing the part of you that people know and respect and love, and that other part of you that maybe you feel ashamed a little bit of, like just bringing it a little bit more to the forefront in the places where you can. And again, some of you may want to go to conventions. I know that there are like witchy conventions where a lot of witches get together just to honestly be in each other's energies and things like that. Because right now, these two sides are against each other. It's really your logical mind is kind of fighting this, but the mind is a tool. That's what I'm saying, is you've come up through that masculine path in order, like the discipline and the responsibility and what is actually true here. And I'm not really going to let myself get away. I'm not going to lie to myself first and foremost, it's actually blocking you. But this, like if you don't use it as a tool, if you let it guide you, it's kind of leading the horse, but they want it to just be a tool. And you have very strong psychic and intuitive abilities here. And I feel like there's something where it's like you're blocking your own blessings, you're blocking your own abundance, but it's because you're not feeling that you can actually, I'm just hearing channeler, you channel other things besides words, know this, and be free. Be free. And I know a lot of weird people say stuff like that, and they mean it in a very ungrounded way, and you can tell that they haven't had like lived experience. And I don't mean it that way. I mean it in a very pragmatic, understand your energy, sort of a way. Because there's nothing wrong with it. I feel like this spiritual side to you or something. Hey, Alex. Yeah. I left the back door open, and yeah. Okay. Yeah, so it's not, there's nothing wrong with it. And that side of you is not meant to be demonized, because it's a real part of you and it's your creative expression. So anything else, Spirit? You have a really happy union that is coming in, but this union is a direct outgrowth of you unionizing. First, you have to come together within yourself. That's the first union. I'm seeing the hermit again. Everything that's going on in your life is meant to push you towards this like hermiting energy of like wisdom and like reconsidering how the energy that you bring, uniting your opposites. So your first step is really in doing that shadow work, bringing up the shadow self, understanding yourself, and being okay with yourself, being at home in yourself and expressing the ways and going to the people, places, and things that you actually feel supported in, even when it maybe feels a little timid, it feels a little uncomfortable. And again, everything in life is spiritual. So this might mean taking a dance class because you samba in your living room every night. Like, get out there and take a dance class. So when you actually bring that part of you, I'm hearing that quote that's like, if you bring forth what is from within you, it will be the making of you, it will save you. But if you don't bring it forth, then it will destroy you. So for some of you, it's like you need to know that actually it's not an option for you to try to keep this like buried and tucked away in a tight little bud, whatever wants to come up and out of you. So start bringing it out, connecting it to the actual physical world. This is manifesting, is what I'm hearing. This is manifesting. Just bringing what is forth. And I do feel like you have you have community. Also, some of you have like a really negative attitude or like experience with authority. This maybe comes from like parental figures or something. But when you start to go to these spaces and these people that really vibe with you, then you actually have a more positive connection with authority. And that's why we have the father energy here as well. And you are your own you're your own authority here in a lot of ways. You're not always your own highest and best authority. And it's important to know which state you're in. Thank you so much, Rachel May. Oh, you're welcome. I'm so glad. So this is like allowing your life to come alive. So if you've been feeling like really stagnant, it's like allow your life to come alive by connecting with these I'm hearing you change your thoughts, change your life, like change your mind, change your life. But we're not talking about your conscious thoughts. We're talking about like the subconscious, which has to do with a feeling, emotive level. And your creativity is trying to lead you there, is what I'm getting. You feel like God is against you, and that's not the case. Or that the fates are against you, and it's just not the case. You're your own worst enemy right now, is what I'm hearing. You're just working against yourself by demonizing a part of you that is meant to be beautiful, and it makes us all unique. Again, Age of Aquarius, like we're all different, we're all unique. And I'm also hearing it's like part of a community is just accepting that certain people are different from you. You don't have to agree with everything people do, or you don't have to agree with everything people say in order to just be like kind and loving and accepting. It's not an option. I just keep hearing that. You connecting with yourself, you belong here. You belong here. In all your uniqueness and weirdness and glory. You belong here. We all belong here. That's why we're here. Anything else? I just feel like you guys are also, again, I just want to say you're installed somewhere. So you're installed in the right places, like to have the experience that you need to push this out of you. You know, like seeds, it's a lot of struggle before like they get up to actually bloom and blossom. So know that these are all forces that you knew you needed, your ego needed to experience to put pressures on you in the right places and to push you to grow in this way and not this other way in order so that you could actually bloom yourself. So nothing's wrong. Don't demonize anything. Nothing's wrong. It might be irritating, but it doesn't mean that it's wrong, and it doesn't mean it's not a part of your spiritual journey or that it's something that needs to be removed. This is another thing. Your ego is not the arbiter of justice. Justice is something much higher than that. It may actually be justice that you are engaged with some kind of what you perceive as like a harmful or destructive energy, because I'm hearing you just don't know the part of you that it's destroying, and it may be time for it to go. So this is the dance. This is the creative element. Anything else? I feel like this has been exhausting you because I'm like, okay, like let's wrap this up, you know, like I get it. Like, you know, High Priestess, I'm just hearing you don't know certain things. So an outgrowth of a spiritual person is not that they know things. Again, whatever this is comes through me. It's spiritual people. Okay, Dunning-Kruger effect. This is the last thing they want to kind of hammer in for this pile. You should always this is a touchstone for you. Understand the Dunning-Kruger effect, which is, for those of you who don't know, it's like when people know very little about something, they think they know more than they do, and they're very expressive. Okay, this is connecting to something else. They're very expressive about it. They think they know more than they do, so they're just out here very confidently, this, that, and the other thing. But as you become more and more educated in something, you tend to have a very great amount of respect. You start to realize all the things you don't know. High Priestess, all the things you don't know. This is the magical space of spirituality. This is what allows you to be in process, to be the channel of which life flows through you, right? And to actually truly connect with life is to understand like what you don't know. Be careful of the places that you go where people have genuinely very little experience but are just all the time. And it's a lot of strong, I know this, and this is the truth, and that is the that, and this is the way, and blah, 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 blah. That's the Dunning-Kruger effect. And they're just wanting you to kind of watch that. And this connects to something else. Because a lot of people, I think, want to be spiritual, or they want to say all the right things because they want to be looked at a certain way. It's ego. It's very much ego, ego, ego. Okay, this is another chant that I was getting. Easy to say, hard to do. 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 Which is why, like, I always think of the gurus in India that I have, like, a lot of respect for. And there's plenty of charlatans in that regard as well. But the ones, Ramana Maharshi, you know, who's living in a hut in basically a loincloth and comfortable. There's stories of him just only eating, like, water from an oatmeal bowl. Somebody like that is really living it. The people who can do the thing are the people who should be speaking about the thing. And it's not really speaking. Like, when you really know, it's not even speaking that is the magic. It's the way they live their life. It's the living example. And this is the calling for this group. You are meant to be this living example. So I'm kind of hearing, like, it's not about, like close up more and, like, you know, allow the energy to grow inside of you, so that it's about transforming your being. It's about transforming your energy. And, you know, like, when you have, like, a project or something going on and you talk about it prematurely, it, like, disperses the energy. It makes it less potent. It makes it less powerful. There's something here where it's like you're consecrating that. Don't equate a spiritual person for somebody who can talk about it, because anybody can talk about it, truly. The mind can understand these things, but it can't do them. If you're going to learn these things and actually integrate it into your being, it's so much more than just a cerebral mental concept. Anybody can learn that. A third grader can learn that, and they do. I did a little flower yoga teacher training where they are teaching kids these concepts. They get it. The practice of doing it time and time again, and actually, like, being able to build yourself. You are the art that you are building here. To build that, working with life and not against it, that's the real magic. And it's hard to do. Easy to say, hard to do. Easy to say, hard to do. Easy to say, hard to do. Don't stop at words. Whether you're listening to somebody and trying to, like, obtain their wisdom, watch what they do, watch how it lives in their mannerisms, you know, and how things change around them. Watch that. That's the lesson. Ramana Maharshi, most of his lessons transmuted in silence, in complete silence. Most of his lessons he wasn't interested in working with people that couldn't actually tap into the energy and pick things up via transmission. And I feel like you're called to understand that, or study that, or take an interest in that. But just have a healthy respect for what you don't know. And mum is the word I'm hearing. So you may actually, again, maybe you feel a strong calling to Ramana Maharshi or those like him, where it's not about the words. It's not about, here's the exact way, because it's always wrong. It's always wrong because you are an individual here and you have to find your own way. That is the spiritual journey. I'm fond of saying, if you're east of the river, you've got to walk west to get there. If you're west of the river, you've got to walk east to get there. But you could be north, east, you could be anywhere. You are you. You have your specific coordinates. And the river being a metaphor for enlightenment, a metaphor returning to spiritual energy, to God, everyone's path is their own. Everything that we say to each other, it's very two-dimensional. It could be the most profound thing in the world. It's very two-dimensional. It's just the finger pointing to the moon. Honor it, respect it, but it's not the way. It's not the way. The way comes up through you. You can hear all of this. You can know all these things. You could write a book about it. Until you connect within, and it comes up through you, and you know beyond words, and you know beyond it, and then you start to feel that frustration of, like, I can't even fully encapsulate this in words. This is also one of the things where, like, the people who just want to say things because, and Jesus said this in the Bible, if all you want is acclaim, if all you want is, like, you know, some kind of worldly success, that's your reward. But for others, their reward lies in heaven. It's spiritual progress. It's actually knowing more and more. It's connecting with the truth, right? And that's what I feel like here. It's like those people that they just want to be, like, praised or, like, given acclaim. Like, there's so much more beyond that. It's about, like, actually changing, actually transforming. And so that's what I have to say here with the high priestess. This is about actually being able to do it, to connect with that space, to be in the flow. We can talk about the flow all day. It's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. All right. So that was pile number 1. That was a bit of a trip. I know that's not everybody's cup of tea, but some people truly are, like, on the verge of some kind of different connection for themselves. And I felt like that needed to come through. Okay. Okay. I can't fully encapsulate it into words. Like, that's where you know you're making progress. Yeah, and I do, a lot of people are mentioning like unlearning, and I just want to bring it back to that Rumi quote, recognize that unlearning is the highest form of learning. And I think there's this, what I view as like the human path is we have to have ego. We need it. In order to incubate us, just like the seed, we have to kind of build our seed here. So when we're born as an infant, our parents' job really is to socialize us so that we understand how to, our parents and our community and our friends and everything that we know when we're little, right? They socialize us. You get to know the ways of the ropes here, how to engage in a social community so that you can navigate the world. You have to know that. You can't just skip that part, because a lot of people are like, well, what if, you can see this in a lot of like practices or people's thought processes, like what if we just didn't build the ego? And certainly you can, but that's like going down a monastic path. That's like a 3-year-old that gets like put down the monastic path, and they probably have built up certain karmas like to be able to do that. But most of us, we have to actually build the ego, which incubates us. It becomes that hard seed, and then our energy, our true self, pushes up through that seed. And that process is important. Actually pushing up and going beyond. That's what it means to actually go beyond, like the ego self. But you have to build up that ego self to kind of go beyond it. So don't demonize like the process of having learned an ego, having learned how to be socialized, understanding how to navigate the world. Don't demonize that. It's all part of the spiritual journey, and I don't think that's said enough. That actually engaging in the material world, building up an ego, engaging with the things of the ego, that's also part of the spiritual journey as well. And okay, I'll just say this last thing and then we'll move on to pile number 2. This is in Vedic astrology. There's the 4 aims of life, okay? And spiritual people only like to focus on the moksha, right? The enlightenment, the banishment of all ignorance. That is like the full realization, right? That's not the only spiritual thing you can do. And until you can recognize that actually engaging with life brings a lot of spiritual fruits as well. I'm hearing gunas, like qualities of the mind, qualities of this. You build yourself up in certain ways, you know? So that's why you've got dharma, right? That's that fire energy connecting with spiritual passion. Kama is like enjoyment, passion. Dharma is purpose. And artha is like things of the world. Actually building up communities and businesses and paying your taxes and having a thriving community where you're eliminating suffering over and over again. These are all aims of life. And we need to approach all 4 to live like a very well-rounded life. So there's plenty of people where they're actually on their spiritual path when they're focused on artha. You know, and building things up in the material world. They're actually meant to give those gifts to all of us. And you have the traditions where, like with monks, they they beg, they use the begging bowls because they've come up through all of that. But they paid ahead with their karma. They paid ahead. I did the baking of the bread for millions of lifetimes. Now it's time for me to focus on moksha. And again, I built up my ego so that I can go beyond it. I built up my ignorance so that I can go beyond it. And so they come and they, of course, bring their energy, they bring their wisdom, and they offer that. And a tuning fork. I'm hearing the monks are like a tuning fork in the village, in the community. It's very good to have them around. But the people who are bringing them the bread, that's them engaging with their spiritual path, building their good karmas. It's all like this unfolding process. We don't just go straight to moksha. That's a kind of baby spiritualist thing that you think. I heard about this one thing, and therefore I'm a master enough to be speaking on it. That's another thing. You're not, and you shouldn't, and it causes a lot of chaos, and it causes people to get confused. The people who can do it are the people who should be talking about it, and the people who should be bringing it forth into the world. So, okay. All right, now moving on. That was a lot. That was a lot. Moving on to pile number 2. My husband's like, it's such a nightmare to know when pile number 1 and pile number 2 start sometimes. I can feel it in this pile. That was hard. Okay. Pile number 2. What do your guides want you to know? A lot of the similar stuff that I was saying in pile number 1 of just that they can see that you're trying and they're here to help you. There's some kind of back and forth here. Pearls. Okay, hold on. Let me just get my cards out here because I'm getting a lot and I just need a starting point. Okay, I'm glad that you guys think that that's awesome because sometimes I get like worried that, and I shouldn't, you know. I shouldn't be worried, but okay, Spirit. So what do pile number 2's guides have to say to them? Okay, this feels like very peaceful, like a lot more peaceful. And I'm just hearing very calmly, awaken from the dream. Awaken from the dream. This card in this deck does have to do with like being asleep in some capacity, but again, being afraid to leave the comfort zone. I'm wondering if like pile number one was an overall message in there tapping into certain things. Don't try to make it happen. There's something here is like, don't try to make it happen. Don't expect quick results. There's something here that's being built from within, and it's taking time to marinate. And I actually think you're working very well with this process. Like, you're just very calm and very patient. You are working very well with this process. You are doing like a lot of dreaming, a lot of conjuring, like a lot of manifesting that's coming through here. And yeah, don't be tempted. I do think that there's a person here that maybe is very tempting. They seem like they really do have it all, but it is somebody who just wants to keep you trapped and entangled. And it feels very much like a love kind of a thing here as well. And I think that this person was put into your path here for a reason, to help you find your wish fulfillment and to help you understand exactly what it is. So there's some kind of love situation, again, where I feel like there's this person, very, very King of Pentacles. So maybe they are very hardworking, very respectable. Maybe they do have a lot of abundance. They're very connected with that Pentacles realm, and their cup runneth over. And I just feel like they're trying to kind of bait you in and say, like, I'll give you this cake, and I'll give you this wine, I'll give you this cow, and like this house and everything. But you're kind of blind to it. Some of you like may literally actually be blind to it, that there's somebody here trying to offer you like the fruits of their labor and things like that. But there's something here reference to like a dream space, a fantasy. Maybe, I think you might dream of somebody here like this that's in that King of Pentacles energy. And okay, yeah, this is all about just keeping a very calm, like, interior. You're very balanced. And I do feel like there's been an ending here because you were not getting the respect that you needed. And that's maybe what alerted you to the fact that there was something going on that was a bit of a fantasy or a bit of an illusion here. And you've connected with yourself. And this period of your life, this stage of life, is all about finding, like, just the peace of your own fulfillment, connecting with the things that you enjoy. This is a much different energy than pile number one. Actually, like, maybe you are spending a lot of time at home or like out in nature at the beach, something like that, because you're letting go of a fantasy. And it could be, I think for a lot of you, it is an actual person, but it could also just be like just the dream of there being some perfect person out there who is just going to give you everything and meet your needs or something. Because I think if you have manifested this before in your past, and you may have had experiences like this where you thought that, this person was the King of Pentacles, but then there was a lot of conflict, there was a lot of arguing, maybe there was a lot of competition. I think this person, whoever this is, this King of Pentacles, they were trying to bait you with jealousy. And I was getting that before, and I didn't really know what I meant by that, and I didn't really know what was being connected to. Like, they tried to like bait you in by having all the goods, but they want everybody to kind of come running. I feel like you are the person that they are focused on. They really want you, and they want you to, this is kind of low vibrational of this person, whoever this is. And I think you recognize this in some way. And that's what's actually like, brought you inwards. I actually think this has been a very this feels like a slow, gentle awakening where you're just kind of realizing something about this. But they were trying to bait you in here with some kind of competition, or even arguing, or saying there's some kind of strings attached energy with this cake. It's like, you are gonna get this cake, but you have to do X, Y, and Z, or like you have to put up with this competition. But then maybe they play kind of coy. So I feel like you've shut your eyes to this in some way, shape, or form. And you're not taking the bait, and you've gone into your own darkness here, and you kind of needed that. Remember what I said at the beginning where I was saying, like, a lot of spiritual adepts, I've heard this, a lot of spiritual adepts prefer the darkness because they can see their own light and tend their own light. So whatever this experience was in the external realm, it's almost literally like the devil offering you a temptation, offering you everything. Maybe if you okay, I just almost said lawyered. Maybe if you lowered your expectations or standards, or you put up with this lower vibrational behavior, then you would get all of this will be yours, kind of the devil tempting Jesus on the mount, but you didn't take the bait. I feel like your guides want to bring you a lot of praise, and like, we see you. We see you. I'm just hearing it like that. We see you. Hey. And I actually think you have a beautiful energy, pile number two. Really beautiful. You are beautiful inside and out. You really, really are. Whatever external beauty that this person or these people see in you and they covet or they attach to it in some way, I actually feel that you're resisting that, being seen in that way. You are connected to something much deeper. And this is why you actually may have a lot of evil eye on you. You actually may have a lot of people that are kind of drawn into you this way because they want something adornment. I'm hearing they want the adornment, but it's not what you're after. And I'm just hearing like this is some kind of role that you're playing in people's psyche. And that story of, oh, Eros and Psyche. You may want to just review that mythical story because Psyche was the most beautiful woman in the land, right? And she had sisters and they were jealous of her. And Aphrodite herself was jealous of Psyche and of all the attention that she got and her beauty and everything like that. So she tried to curse Aphrodite, right? And to make her fall in love with a pig or something like that instead of just giving her soulmate. And that's what this is. Oh my gosh. I don't mean this. I'm not trying to like be smoten here. Please don't smite me. But I almost wonder if that's what this King of Pentacles was. It was a trap. It was a pig. It was Aphrodite trying to get you to fall in love with a pig. But you have actually had help here because that came from a low vibrational energy. And I'm not saying Aphrodite really did that, honey, baby, chicken, cherry, child. Please don't smite me. But I feel like that's what this was. This was kind of to knock you off your path or to like ding your self-worth or something like that on the inside. But you've closed your eyes to this because you actually have had other guides and other assistants, because that's what, when all the other gods saw what was going on in that story to Psyche, they helped her because Aphrodite gave her all those many tasks. Remember, she had to like pick up all the tiny grains of sand, which was like an impossible task, but the other Eros and like the other gods sent like crows or, you know, in order to help. So you have a lot of help, guidance, and assistance. And so I'm also hearing for all the energies in the world that want to tear you down, there are like 10 energies that want to uplift you and support you. And you are actually connecting with those energies now. I actually feel like you've been prevented from connecting with those energies or knowing about them consciously. It's not that they're not helping you, but you've been prevented from connecting with them at first because you're learning. You can sometimes trust the wrong people because your good-hearted nature lends you to not being able to see clearly when other people mean you harm or when other people are trying to do this. But I think this has been a difficult lesson for you, but it's also come to you, I think, very peacefully, where it's like somehow at a distance reflecting on the fantasy of whoever this person was or whatever this promise was. You have actually very gently, this is a very gentle, peaceful kind of like awakening process. And that's what I was saying is like everybody has like a different kind of awakening. Adi Ashanti's was like, he was on the spiritual path forever and then it like all hit him at once, you know? But yours is much more gentle than that. You're just kind of naturally in flow, I think, with your own energy. So it's not quick and you're not the Queen of Wands. Okay. I think that, you know, people like, I don't know if this is true or not. Okay, so I'm going to say this, but I'm channeling and I'm like trying to divine a message. How, you remember that movie, What the Bleep Do We Know? This is where I'm getting like a little weird about this because I know a lot of that has been like debunked and there was something wrong with that video. Like it wasn't actually held up to like the highest of like scientific standards. Not all of it was, but like a lot of it was. So this is what I'm saying, like the science behind this, I don't know which was debunked or embellished and which wasn't, but the part where they recognized that an observer could actually change the behavior of particles, that's the part that I'm kind of picking up on. So you've been protected here in some way because you are very sensitive to energy, and observer energy actually affects the way that you feel about yourself and how you kind of show up in the world, like even on a subconscious level. So I feel like that's why you've really been drawn into like the spiritual experience and probably meditation and feeling safe in your own energy because you're not the Queen of Wands. I think a lot of people expect you to be the Queen of Wands, but it's just their jealousy talking. And this is actually them knocking your energy and trying to degrade you in some way by saying, oh, well, you're just the Queen of Wands, meaning you're just some kind of sex object, or you're just really sexy, or you're just really active, or you're just really funny, witty, charismatic, like this Queen of Wands energy, right? Whatever it is. But you're not intelligent, or you're not a force to be reckoned with or something. So I think in the past, your energy has naturally kind of like capitulated and tried to like be what people expect you. Cause I think maybe there's a bit of a people pleaser energy here where it's like, yeah, like you've wanted to kind of play up to that. But so you've probably gone through periods of aloneness where it's like, you're just safe in your own energy and you're getting to know the real you outside of the gaze. They're hearing like the male gaze, but also like that green-eyed monster. There's a lot of eye energy here. Green-eyed monster, and it's also connected you to your own psychic ability because I think you're being given the ability to see where people are coming from in their lower vibrational energy. Also because of your good heart. I'm hearing it shouldn't be a travesty. It shouldn't be something that holds you back, your beautiful heart. It shouldn't be something that is taken advantage of. So you're allowed to keep, this is a way that you're like allowed to keep that beautiful heart energy and emanate it out, but also be nobody's fool is by developing some kind of psychic gift or ability. I'm strongly getting that here. And just to feel strong and stable and comfortable here in your own energy. I also feel like there's something waiting for you. And this feels like life opening up to you because you've gone through this period of being in the castle where, again, you were unawakened to your own beauty. I think this is a pile that's really resistant to like accepting how beautiful you are and that it's a factor in how people treat you. And maybe, okay, this is another thing. It's like you protect yourself with some kind of traditional energy or like traditionality, you know, like, okay, well, because you don't want to draw ire. I think you don't want to admit this to yourself. It's like the subconscious understanding where you understand that if you step a toe out of the box, people, oh my God, I had a dream about this last night. People just, their ire just draws to you because they're just looking for any reason to tear you down. And it doesn't have anything to do with you. It has to do with their jealousy. Because I think then you're very sensitive and you're like, well, what did I do? And you go through your own debriefing process, but you didn't do anything. And there's a part of you that knows like, well, I just need to not rock the boat, not be different. I need to kind of, you know, sit behind this like traditional energy because then nobody will attack me. But there's something here, like they are wanting you to bloom, not exactly right now. Keep in your energy. This is a group that like kind of doesn't need spiritual guidance outside of like your own self. And you're probably just connecting with this group of other women because this is a whole ass pile in this, for this community. There's so many of you that are experiencing this. So I feel like you're meant to connect with each other's energy and it's meant to bolster you. So reach out on that energy and connect with these people here in the comment section that are also feeling this way. And because you probably, I'm hearing that word installed from the first deck, like that you're kind of installed and that you're playing your part in all of this. You probably make people aware of their own selfishness, of what they covet, of where they feel less than, but they want to project that outwards onto you and say that you're making them feel that way. You're making them feel less than because you are all of these things. You, okay, honey, you being yourself, you connecting with your strength is not the problem. It's not the problem. I feel that you've been made to think that it's the problem and that you just being yourself, other people have made you feel like that is you putting them down. And it's not. It's not. I'm hearing you're the strength. You actually are the strength. And you also offer people very quick results. There's something about if people interact with your energy properly, meaning with care and well, you actually there's something about your energy that I think will just scoop them up and then love them, care for them, and offer them some kind of quick results. But you will be the empress. I'm hearing patience, child, patience. You will bloom. Okay. Like you just can't not. It's just, I feel like you were always meant to be the empress. It's just your destiny. It's just the drumbeat of where your life goes. People sense that. People want to be the empress. I don't even consider like, I'm like really coming to terms with the fact I feel like I'm Queen of Pentacles energy, and that's fine. Not everybody is the empress, but I feel like this is a pile where you are really meant to like become this empress. But you do have to cut ties here with the people that were not respecting you. And there's a reluctance to because of your loving energy. And you think that you've been brainwashed. This is a group that's been brainwashed because people want to keep you around. You're seen as a very valuable person. They want to keep you around. They don't want to treat you nice. And they don't want to respect your energy and treat you with, you're a very tender energy. I can see here, pile 2. Very, very soft, very tender, very loving. You're the heart chakra. There was this man at Omega when I was there that saw chakras. And there was this woman and she was like, he was like, yeah, I can see people's chakras. Like some people's different chakras are like very big. And she goes, my heart chakra is so big. And he goes, no, it isn't. I'm sorry. He just said it so matter of fact. He was like, no, it isn't. And I feel like you are that heart chakra energy where it's like so big. Alex, do you know who I'm talking about? No. Okay, I'll tell you later. But anyways, it was just like very shocking. But you are that heart space energy because again, it's like very unassuming. She kind of came at it though like a little hot and cocky, you know. But we were all kind of like, oh. But you really are. You're that very sweet, soft energy. And people don't want to treat you that way because treating you that way is what will keep you around. Instead, they want to play games, power games, because they think they think you're hot shit. And because they think you're hot shit, they think you think you're hot shit. So you've probably been nagged a lot. competed with, like on a friendship level, maybe competed with or like competed for. It's just not your energy. And yeah, people have just not wanted to treat you right to keep you around. They think they have to domineer you or something to keep you around. They're afraid to give you your agency. People are afraid to give you your agency because they think once you realize, like even if they know that you haven't realized, it's like, well, they want to trap you because once you realize how beautiful and how brilliant and how great you are, you'll up and leave. And so what if you do? That's part of their spiritual journey. It's like, so what if you up and leave? I kind of don't think you will. I kind of think you want to be rooted somewhere. You have a lot of earthy energy that's coming through. Like you want to build a home. You want to have like, something like that. But like, I just don't think people have been kind to you, pile number 2. I don't think that they want to see you as like some like very sexual, and you probably have those energies like we all do. But you are just so Queen of Cups, Queen of Pentacles, like you are so soft and people don't want to see that about you. But just hang in there, be patient. You do have to cut ties with people who have not been respecting you. I also think you're a hard worker and you take on more of the burden. And nobody wants to recognize you for that. This is annoying me. On all girls school, and they're still trying to deprogram myself. Oh my gosh. I bet that is so hard. Yes. Don't want to give me agency because they know I'm a peace out. Yeah. But the thing is, you wouldn't peace out if they were kind and if they were caring. It's all this. It's the competition. It's all that. So these are people that don't want to own their own behavior. That the chaos energy, the negative chaos energy comes from them. They're the one bringing the competition into the room. I've said this before in readings, you just existing is not a challenge to someone else. You didn't throw down the gauntlet because you happen to exist, So this is all about like peace. Anything else here, Spirit? Okay, I feel like part of your defense mechanism and being confronted with all this energy, remember I said like you feel you can't put a toe out of line. So like you're being called to kind of balance yourself between like, all this like doing the right thing, the quote unquote right thing. And this is part of the expression energy that we were talking, and like doing what you want to do, right? Because it's easy to attack somebody for doing what they want to do. That's their creative expression. The Empress is a creative energy. You're meant to step into that creative expression energy, but you're timid to do it because it's out of your comfort zone. But for this pile, it's like compounded because it's not just your comfort zone as a person. It's like people just attack you when you express because they can, because they're like, oh, that was a personal choice and I can always attack personal choices. So you're being asked to like, pull this apart. Like, yes, there's a part of you that is genuinely like very studious and very healthy and drinking your water and doing all the quote unquote right things, but it isn't your personality. And that's a big violence that I feel like these people around you have enforced and inflicted upon you, is making you feel that you have to do everything right just so that they don't criticize you, so they don't call you a bitch, so they don't, I'm hearing Taylor Swift, the man. I would be complex. I would be cool. You are complex. And they're trying to make you into this single cell amoeba so that they can demonize you. So you growing and you accepting your own holistic nature and just saying like, look, you knowing yourself, which I feel like you are connecting with that more and more every day. You knowing that and saying like, no, I'm holistically well-rounded. I am smart. I am intelligent. I am trustworthy. I'm accountable. I'm stable. I can be trusted with my own agency. Like, and you just knowing that, it's going to force people to have to look at you from this different light. And the more you do that, the more that their own shit is theirs to deal with. They have to realize that they're the ones being jealous because you capitulating to this, which I feel like you've done in the past because you've wrongly told yourself that it's keeping you safe. It reduces you down so that people can then like try to squash your energy, and your guides don't want you to do that anymore. You have everything that you need to move forward, and you're just powerful. You're just powerful. Okay, anything else here, Spirit? Oh my gosh, I'm like literally sitting here worried that like having all this spiritual talk is like driving people away. But Spirit is telling me like, this is a spiritual reading. And okay, this is what they were talking about in the first part where they wanted to talk about the tarot. Like tarot is a spiritual process. It's a spiritual practice. And those of us who actually are able to tap in with the tarot and bring that to you, it's a fruit of our spiritual practice. And you don't get to have it both ways. And that's what I'm feeling like with your energy. You don't get to have it both ways. You cannot drink from the cup that I put before you and then try to disregard everything that I've done and everything that I am and everything that I've connected with in order to provide it for you. You don't get to do that. It's a violence. Like stripping things away. And I'm hearing stripping the seed from the germ. It's a kind of violence. And people have tried to extract the value of you and like not honoring the fullness and the truth of you. This is a spiritual reading. Tarot is a spiritual practice. You don't get to come into a tarot space and then just say, well, I just want this and I just want that. You're desecrating the temple. Those people are a violence. And so they're saying like, if this spiritual talk is driving people away, like from my channel, good. They're not meant to be here. They're just here to take. And I feel like you need to adopt that attitude as well. That if you being yourself draws people away from you, it's better than having enemies in your midst that then just send you evil eye and like don't understand you and they don't want to actually, again, they're saying the woman is the temple. Like, I don't know. It's like the way that they're treating you is like the way that they treat spirituality, the way they treat spirit, the way they treat the temple. Nothing is sacred to these kind of people. Nothing is sacred. And they don't make space for you to have something that's sacred. And they feel entitled to like tread upon those sacred spaces, which is in each of our hearts. Like, okay, I'm just going to read this for a second. Barack, just help me. I have a best friend who is asking me what I need for her to stay in my life. She's trying so hard to listen to what I ask for, but should I actually give her the second chance? You know, this is for you to understand. And I think the question for you to really ask yourself is, remember what I was saying in pile number 1 about it's so much different than words. You actually have to be able to connect. She's listening with her mind, probably because there's like a negative consequence. This is what you have to ask yourself. Is this the state of being that she's coming to you from? Is she listening with your mind and now there's a consequence and you want to leave and she doesn't want you to leave. She's desperately trying to hang on to your energy. Is it coming from that? Like now that you're leaving, she just wants to keep you around? Or is there a genuine, like, is she like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize that I hurt you. I'm upset that I hurt you and I want to learn how to not hurt you. I want to learn you're important to me. And I'm so sorry that like, I didn't describe that you're important to me, you know, and that I wasn't showing you that. Like, what place is it coming from? Is she listening with the entirety of her being? Is she listening to integrate and to actually level up and to be better? Or if she's overly fixated on you, it's weird. If you are an object to her that she just needs to keep around, it's weird. If she wants to like be a better person, be a better friend, and she's like, no, you're a person I like and that I trust, and you as a person giving me the feedback that you don't want me around and you don't want me in your life, you feel like you needed to draw a hard boundary, that's waking me up to the fact that what's in my heart's not coming across to other people, which I should be concerned about and I want to address, not just to keep you, but to level up as a person, then that's one thing. So you need to like ascertain the level of consciousness, because it's not just about intention. She has an intention to keep you in her life, but then what's even beyond that? What's she capable of? You know, these are real questions that you have to ask yourself. So I can't tell you what it is that you should do, but I feel like it's a matter of like, you know, understand that she's trying her best, whichever level of consciousness she is at. It's not about demonizing her, but it's just asking yourself, you know, what you are not expected to be somebody's punching bag while they work out their lessons. Sometimes losing a person that's very important to you is one of the most powerful lessons somebody can get, and usually they've had opportunities leading up to it. So just consider that. Okay, so I really feel like this is what I have for you guys. This is what your guides want you to understand, is like there's a lot of evil eye on this pile. There really is. I just heard connect with sacred spaces, like within yourself. I feel like nature energy is big. And also like, see all this black energy around? White is the color of like the masculine spirituality and black is the color of the feminine spirituality. And it's the void energy. It is that like going into the void. And I feel like that's what you're doing. And again, you're building your own intuition. And again, you might want to look into the story of Eros and Psyche, because I feel like you're Psyche. I kind of feel, okay, for this pile, I feel like there's somebody coming in for you, perhaps, if that's something that you want. I just don't think by the end of it, it's even, or like when this person shows up, it's like even going to be a thing for you. Like you're not coming from that place of like neediness or something. It might come when you least expect it. And I know people say that a lot, but it's not just like, okay, conscious mind, don't expect it so that they'll show up. You're not in that state of mind. You have an extreme change of fortune that's coming here, and it's connected to you connecting to your Empress energy, that wholeness, your creative energy, knowing who you are and having the courage to put that in the world. It's going to flip your fortune here. You've got a lot coming in for you. But it comes with a major perspective shift here as well. Yeah, you're ending a huge karmic cycle. You're ending a huge karmic cycle, and your guides are so proud of you. Your guides are really, really proud of you. It's been a burden. It's been a slog. It's been an uphill climb. It's been an uphill battle. You've been betrayed. You've been hurt. You've been left face down in the dirt. You've been left confused. And this is the path that I think you walk, the path of divine destruction. And they've been working with you the whole time, is what they're saying. And it feels like you've been knocked down, but you've actually been built up. On the spiritual. On the physical, you might feel betrayed and stomped into the dirt, but in the spiritual, you have actually been built up here in some way. Yeah. Oh my gosh, there's just so much love and community and togetherness that is in your future, in terms of friends. Some of you, like, there's a child. For others of you, there's a husband or a wife, or I just saw the Emperor card. Like, you have so much abundance that's coming to you. Don't you worry about a thing, mama. Yeah, and cut ties with things. You need to cut ties with certain people, places, and things, because that's the source of the chaos in your life. It's not coming from you. I think that people like to throw you off your game because it keeps you under control. It keeps you on your knees. They like to say things that'll throw you off. They try to poke the bear with you. They try to knock your energy. They try to make you feel this low self-esteem. That energy doesn't come from you. And if you actually do cut ties with those people, places, and things and move away from it, you'll notice your life naturally calms down because that's your energy. They want you to think it's not your energy. They want you to think, that this is just how life is for everybody. They want you to think perhaps that it comes from you, that you're the one that's like unsettled in your energy. But it's neither of those things. And the more you move away from people like that, remember what I said, spiritual adepts prefer the darkness because they can see their own light. You will actually get to know your own light, and your light is beautiful. I feel like a prayer that you should pray is just, Lord, help me to know my own energy. Help me to feel what is mine. What the energy is that I infuse out in the world, because there's like a parasitic relationship on your energy from people. You have a lot of abundance and good karmas and good things. They want all the good things that come from you. They would like to tell themselves that it's theirs. They feel entitled to it, but they have to domineer you. And so again, it's actually best for everyone to go your own ways so that their burdens are their own. They need to take responsibility for their own energy. They think the types of people you've been dealing with, they're bloodsucker types, and they think that, it's my responsibility to get good things in my world. So I lie, steal, cheat, put people in competition in order to serve my ego, in order to keep all of that around. But none of it comes from within with these people. With you, it comes from within. So you're just this wellspring. And they were meant to come into contact with your energy because you're kind of teaching them that. Even on like an energetic level, you're teaching them. And it's disruptive. Your energy is disruptive to them, but because they're so out of alignment with truth. So anybody that vibrates in alignment with their own truth, or they want to work cooperatively with God or spirit, it's shocking to these people. They have to face hard truths about themselves. And there's a difference between saying a hard thing and saying, like, trying to knock somebody down. And I think that you've also been pitted in situations like that where they're like, well, I'm just saying the hard thing just like you do, but it comes from an entirely different energy space. And it's felt, which is why you're being brought into this like intuitive path. These people, there's something following these people. It's shark energy. So they've made enemies in doing this. Just their karma has kind of made this manifest. They're about to receive some kind of like, it's a part of you ending this karmic cycle. They are about to experience what you experienced. And these people are Delulu. They are Delulu. They tried to keep you in a state of delusion about them, but they are delusional about their own self. They can't face the reality of themselves. So how can they progress on the spiritual path? How can they build up their own character? They can't. So it's actually kindness for these people to need to face that so that they actually can progress. This is the next spot in their journey. And so they think that they're moving towards some like love. Maybe that's with you. Or they think that they're moving towards that. And then they're about to get a 10 of Swords moment. And I think it's repeated as well. Like the truth will come out about these people, or that it's like many truths, 10 truths that it's going to feel like this. And it's hard to like accept and it's hard to look at. I think it's just the fact that they're jealous of you or they covet you yourself. And you are going to be blessed and like benefit and move on. So, okay, that's what we have for pile number 2. Man, these have been some different messages, difficult messages as well, because, and I feel like this is something that's been coming through more and more because I've been more and more willing to do it, where it's just like coming through more matter of fact, of like, no. And I think especially with pile number 2, you could have been in that place where you're like, well, everybody has their good points. Everybody has their bad points. And you're just not, it's hard for you to admit that you're not energetically and in terms of your wisdom, like your level of wisdom and your willingness to take responsibility, you're not on the same level as them. It's not that they can't be on your level. It's just that they're choosing to lower themselves by not taking accountability, by being jealous. So nice. Okay. go. I'm ready. I'm so glad that this has been, oh, I'm so glad. I'm so glad that this has been helpful for you guys. Okay. Yeah. Oh, you're welcome. Yes. There feels like there's a what your guides are mostly trying to do is like change the way that you're looking at things, and it does feel like for all these piles, and it does feel like they're coming in here with very strong messages or something, because you're at a point in your spiritual journey where the nuance matters. So we really do have to get in there, and it's that swords energy, which is helpful, right? But sometimes it hurts. But we've got to get in here in order to make these adjustments in our vision. And this is what your guides want you to know too. It's like, you don't have to hear these messages every time. This is definitely a part of your journey and a part of your experience. But when you shift your perspective, then you can see clearly. And when you see clearly, then the way becomes known to you. You kind of know exactly what it is that you're looking at. But the ego taints it. So that's like these specific shifts. They're meant to just like click your perception in, and I think it's an adjustment. They're showing that like an adjustment, and it's maybe very jarring or very shocking at first, but once it clicks in and you actually look around and you feel the benefit of it and the truth of it, it actually will make all the difference in your life, and you'll be very grateful for it. But your guides are incredibly patient with this process, just so you know. They think maybe you're less patient. You want these changes, and then you get frustrated because you don't understand why it's not coming in, and you blame them, or you blame God or your spirit guides, or why is this why is this happening to me? And they're saying, remember what I was saying, you can channel so much more than pretty words. Like you need to click into alignment. Look at like what needs to shift and change so that it can come up through you. That should always be the question, is like, how can this come up through me? Yeah. Yes. Nice. Yeah, and avoid reading too much into any one off energy. That's so good too. And it's not personal, which is again going back to the shift of everybody's trying. Even if you don't, the quality is less than you're trying maybe, or they're not able to try as productively as you've been able to try. They're still trying, and it's not personal to you. And they're going about it in a maladaptive way a lot of times, but it is still like they're trying. So yeah, spirit, look how hard we try. And have you ever heard the phrase, work smarter, not harder? So part of it is like, it's not a competition of like how hard you try. They don't necessarily want you to try harder. They want you to, some of it is a matter of just changing the way you're looking at things, or standing in a different position, or looking through somebody else's perspective. Part of it, just like pile number 2 is really good at, is just kind of sinking into the energy, not rushing. Because when we try, that's masculine energy. It's doing energy. Oh, well, I need to do something to interfere with this space in order to produce the outcomes that I want, right? That my ego wants. And my ego says it's the spiritual thing to bring about whatever this is that I want, because ego moves through preferences and aversions. And again, if you haven't addressed your ego before you get into spiritual practice, the ego will just eat all that up, and it'll use the spiritual language and the spiritual terminology. It'll tell you it's your intuition, but really all it's doing, if you really listen, this is another thing. If you really listen, this is the help. All right, we're on to pile number 3, people. Sarah, thank you so much for the $19.99. Thank you guys so much for the super chats, for the community. Okay, so getting back into what I was saying, because this is definitely a part of pile number 3, is that it's not a matter of the trying. And if you don't address your ego before you do the trying, then the ego tries to hijack that. The ego tries to use the spiritual language, the spiritual garb, the spiritual places, that turns spirituality into an identity. And it says it's about my power. And my ego now, because I have the spiritual perspective, my ego can now preside over all others. I will tell others what is correct. I will tell others what is incorrect. Instead of understanding, the true spiritual perspective is knowing that we're all connected, we're all on our own paths, and that you don't always know like what's going on with someone else. It's for them to discover, and it's for them to find. It's not necessarily for us to pass judgment upon. We have different perspectives. We can see each other maybe through a more neutral lens sometimes, especially when we ourselves come from a good place. You know, you can ask somebody's perspective that you really value because you trust them to be neutral, and because they're not intimately intertwined with your life and they don't have strong preferences and aversions to the choice that you're making, you can trust their guidance and advice to at least be neutral in the place that they're coming from. That's much, much different. So, this is the help that I feel like you're receiving. Okay, so pile number 3, I feel like this is a group that needs some kind of assistance, needs some kind of help. Like you've been asking for some kind of help. You feel lost in the sands of time. You feel lost in the details. And again, it's because your ego is too prevalent is what I'm getting. It's the ego really trying to co-opt spiritual language, spiritual spaces, and it's too much placed on you about what decisions that you need to make instead of just relaxing into it and letting go and learning how to go with the flow. Sand is a very, it's that, you know, when you sand something down, you make it smooth. And so I feel like that's what's meant. The sand is here to kind of like make it smooth. It's not meant to be drowning in. I'm also hearing quicksand. You know, like when you're struggling in quicksand, that's what makes you sink faster. But when you just kind of relax into it, you have a calm mind, and then you can see, okay, well, there's a branch, or you can holler for your friends, you know, and then that's what's going to pull you out. Some of you actually, it's like, you need to kind of relax into this to kind of know what to do. But I feel like you're flailing in some kind of way. It doesn't have to be huge flailing, but it's like, it's uncomfortable. Oh, the preferences and aversions. So there's something here where it's like you're reacting immediately to the discomfort of the situation that your guides have actually placed you in. I'm watching your guides place you into the sands of time. You always knew that it was going to go on, right? You knew that you need to grow in this way. And this happens to be the soil that they planted you in at this place in your life. And there is some kind of spirit, I can't remember which one, but it's like a Bible school lesson in Christianity of like, some seeds are planted in the rich soil. Some seeds are planted in the sun. Some seeds are planted in the shade. Some seeds are planted in dry soil. Some seeds are planted in sand. Some seeds are planted on rocky soil. So at this time of your life, I feel like you've been planted in the sand. And you're like, I don't want to be planted in the sand, you know? And your guides are like, the ego's preferences and aversions have been noted, that you do not wish to be planted in the sand. It's meaningless information, but we have noted that. You will be in the sand. Because this is what's required to kind of like pull you forward. There's a gift waiting for you here. This is seeing through wisdom and not through the lens of preferences and aversion. This is what's seeing through wisdom, seeing through the higher perspective. You're not to deny the fact that they're not, what they don't want you to hear this message and be like, I love the sand. Like, you know, you're now you switched it and you're like, I love the sand. I just love the sand so much. Thank you, Spirit, for the sand. It's okay to not thank us. It's okay to be pissed. It's fine. Have whatever reaction you're having. Settle your energy. Note these different reactions. That will show you your own ego. Because I'm seeing your ego be like, you know, like, no. That's the part of you that's very human. And that's a part of it, and it's telling you certain things. And then there's another side of you, that witness, that observer energy. There's something here about this. And it's like reaching towards this dark moon energy. It's kind of like what I'm getting. So I just feel like there's somebody here there's something or someone that when you calm your energy and you stop getting lost, okay, the sands of time and the confusion that you feel like you're lost in, it literally is the preferences and aversions of your ego. And you think that's your intuition. You think that it's guiding you, that it's a rudder. Okay, like, you know, like, and sometimes it's good to connect with like what you like, but what you like has levels, okay? Preferences and aversions, superficial, very ego. Dharma is something much different, much deeper than like those preferences and aversions. It comes up from your soul. And I always think about like musicians. I wish I could remember who said this, but it was like, you know, yes, I'm a rock star. There's a lot I don't like about being a rock star. I hate like the traveling and the smells and being touched all the time. I hate all the bureaucracy and blah, blah, blah. But I love music so much that I will tolerate all that shit. Well, if you're listening to your preferences and aversions, you'd be like, but the smells are bad. There's so many bad smells in airports and I have to be in them all the time. So like, is this really my path? Like, but I really like playing guitar. So it's not, they're not trying to get you to know your ego better, to get you to lean more into it and to be on the rudder, because you're just going to be going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. They want you to get to know your ego so you know which part of you is ego and which part of you is observer. Just like we were talking in the beginning. You built your ego, you know which part of you is ego so that you can grow through it. Grow through it. That's all you're doing is just okay, I understand that I have these certain preferences and aversions. I'm intimately aware of that. When I let that settle, what is that other part of me kind of being drawn towards? A bigger sense of calling. Calling is beyond preferences and aversions. And I feel like that's what you are needing to find your star. That's what I'm getting. Okay, because all there is the moon here, and the moon's not even really like, okay, so this is like dark night of the soul energy. This is like eclipse energy. And remember, I keep saying this, spiritual adepts prefer the dark so that they can see their own light. You've been placed in darkness here in something, and I feel like it's confusion. You don't really know where you're going. You don't understand. The logical mind doesn't understand. The logical mind, the ego, feels it's a travesty, and then it's some kind of injustice that it doesn't understand. It thinks that because it's because it found spirituality, that now it's a big boy. Now it's on the level of the gods, right? Hecate, Zeus, Jesus. We all know what's going on, and that's how you can tell that we're spiritual. Is because we always know what's going on. My logical mind always knows what's going on. Spirituality has very little to do with that logical mind. In Vedic astrology, the symbol of the sage is the south node. It's the headless body. The knowing that doesn't come from the mind. The mind is a tool. The mind can help you figure out how to get there, but the knowing is something deeper. Something deeper. And even to say that it comes up through the body is something reductionist and kind of like different. But so I just feel like this is a very good thing. This is a very good thing. That's coming from A Course in Miracles. There's a quote, and it was like, oh, you used to tell God. No. Okay, you used to ask God what you like. You used to ask God who you were. And now you tell God who you are. And that is a very good thing. So part of it is, oh, I get it. So you've placed yourself on this receiving end, and you kind of petition spirit or whatever, and it's like, what should I be doing? Tell me what my calling is. All I want to do is follow your instructions. And it's like, and God's like, I don't want to drone. I don't want you to follow my instructions. I am you. You are me. It comes up through you, right? Tell me who you are. So the ego trying to discern its preferences and aversions, it's very much in a reactionary state. The ego is very reactionary. It's like, it was hot today and I didn't like that. It was cold today, and I like that a little more. So I'll spend more time in cold. And that serves its place, okay? It serves its place. But Spirit is saying, you tell me. You tell me. That's something. Like, come online. Like, that's what it is. But you need to spend this time in darkness. You need to be kind of like sorting through the sands of time here, this like preferences and aversion. And then, do you know that glass is made of sand? Do you know that? Glass is made of sand. So that smooth surface of like your iPad or like, a mirror. I'm pretty sure mirrors are made of sand. Don't quote me on that. But it's very reflective. So then everything will be clear and everything will be, you can make a mirror from sand. That's what this is. I'm also hearing like the Rumpelstiltskin story where, that poor woman, this came through in another reading, and I didn't know the Rumpelstiltskin story, but I looked it up afterwards. That poor woman's father lied on her. The king came into town and he was like, my daughter can spin straw into gold. And she was like, what are you saying? So the king was like, really? I like gold. So let's put her in my basement and see if she spins gold. So she's in there and he's like, and if not, I'll kill you both. So she's like, well, thanks a lot, Dad. This has been a real treat. And so she gets put in that basement, right? That's when Rumpelstiltskin shows up, but ends up like married to the king and everything like that, right? Like everything ends up fine, but not without like trial and, all this kind of nonsense. So everything's going to end up okay. But I feel like you were told that you could spin straw into gold, and then you got placed in the basement. You got placed in this, like, it's like, well, let's see. And I think it's meant to show you that like your ego can't turn straw into gold, right? There's spirit can. That's alchemy. That's spiritual alchemy. And it's just a matter of reconnecting to spirituality, not through that ego lens, to go like even deeper and to then like to transcend that egoic place. And you're looking for your star. So it tells me you're looking for your purpose. You're looking for your guiding light, but it's in here. You're looking out here. You're looking into the sky. And look, you it's just a hand. You don't even have eyes. Stop looking out here so strongly. You're trying. Remember we were talking about that? I'm trying so hard. Yeah, you're like, I'm looking everywhere. Sand's getting in your eyes. You can't breathe. And Spirit's like, the eyes from within. I'm seeing the eyes closed, and then the third eye that looks inward opens. Like, that's what it is. Yeah, you're looking for your star in the wrong place. You're looking for your guiding light in the wrong place. You're looking for your purpose in the wrong place. You're looking for your healing in the wrong place. You're looking for your difference in the wrong place. You need to look in here. And you think the ego is the first layer to that. So I actually think it's very good because you have like kind of gone within. And so when you first start asking these questions, the ego goes, well, my preferences are this and my aversions are that. My preferences are this and my aversions are that. And it's very loud. That's very loud. But go deeper. That's why meditation's good. Meditation would be really good practice here for this pile. You're in the desert. Guess what else is in the desert? Rahu, the North Node, destiny energy, your trajectory forward. You are exactly in the right place. That is like a consistent message here for all these people. You've been all three of these piles. You've been installed in the right place. This is a group that I feel like, again, you're looking for your destiny energy. You're looking to make a difference. You're looking to progress. Guess what? The desert, you're in the right place. I think, okay, I'm hearing you don't understand what you're manifesting. This is also the other thing. Like, this is also where trust comes in. Is like, this is why the ego doesn't know everything. That was that high priestess energy that we were picking up on too. You don't know everything. You need to understand all the things you don't know. So a lot of times when we're manifesting, it's like, okay, well, I want to manifest my destiny. But then the ego fills in all the gaps. And it's like, okay, so when someone's fulfilling their or manifesting their destiny, it looks like it feels comfortable and everything is great and blah, blah, blah. Rahu lives in a desert. Rahu lives in the desert. And I'm thinking of like the Hopi. So the red race, the Native American race that were born in the Americas, that they were rooted in the Americas because like the middle of America is like the breadbasket of the world. I think we can literally grow enough food in the the Midwest of the United States to feed the entire world. And so it makes sense that the red race is here. It's the earth race, and so their karmas connect with growing things. So like when the pilgrims arrived and they looked around and they were like, these people don't even have farming. But they did, because it was all permaculture. They tended the whole forest. That's why we have like the three sisters. They knew how the earth functioned. And then I always think about like the Hopi in the desert. The Hopi grow things in the desert. That's nothing short of a miracle. That's nothing short of magic. That's amazing. So you are kind of like learning how to grow things in your desert because it's coming from you. It's not anybody can grow things like in the soil outside. Actually, plants are pretty hardy and like they'll grow, but if you can grow something in the desert, well, now you've actually done something. So I feel like you're used to growing things in the soil because you were learning the basics of it, but now you got put into the desert. So take heart. I'm hearing, I just heard Kevin Hart. So I don't know why, if that like resonates with someone, take heart. But, I just heard I'm not ready. But you are. And so take heart. When you look around, because I think you were manifesting or something, or you felt like you were, I was really putting it out there that I'm connecting with my destiny energy. And then when you ended up in the desert, you were like, excuse me? Like, no, but Elemental Priestess, thank you so much for the 2222. You were like, excuse me? I was manifesting my destiny. Why'd you it feels like a punishment, but it's not. You're in the exact right place to find your destiny. Because if you could, whatever you can do in the desert, that's your skill. That's your destiny. It's coming from you. You know what's there and what's deeper. So your guides want you to understand this. Understand our methods. Like, this is kind of the real thing, is like, understand how we work with you. We're not your ego. We're not that voice in you that talks about your preferences and aversions, that is irritated by every rub. Oh, and this is another thing that I was getting before the reading. What we say is simple. What we say is true. What we say is simple. What we say is true. What we say is simple. What we say is true. A lot of you are wondering, like, how can you connect with your guides? Well, it's not that preferences and aversions voice. What we say is simple. What we say is true. Actually doing it is the hard part. We were talking about that in pile number 1. Actually doing it is the hard part. Actually connecting with that. But understanding it is simple enough. It's straightforward. What we say is simple. What we say is true. And so they're not coming in here with like eloquent speeches and stuff, because you just want that for comfort. You just want that for soothing. And actually you don't need to be comforted to find your way through this maze. Ooh, I feel like a hard truth for some of you. Your ego prefers to be comforted. You don't need to be comforted to find your way through this desert. We'd actually prefer if you didn't. If you understood that you didn't need all the comforts and all the necessities. If you get down to the bare bones and understand exactly what you need to like guide through this. We would actually prefer if you didn't. If you didn't whine about the comforts. If you didn't need this to be comfortable. We're not making it uncomfortable to make it uncomfortable. We're not doing that either. You're just in the quicksand, and you need to learn how sand works. You're getting to know sand here in this space. This is your classroom. You need to understand how sand works. And if we interfere, you don't know how sand works. You know how we work. So you know how the sand works. You know that when you need to know in order to progress to the next level, that when you shift around in quicksand, it sucks you under. That's valuable information that you couldn't have learned in any other way than by experiencing and by the fear of it. And that's a whole other thing. Okay, like sitting here like, oh yeah, I know when you move around in quicksand. But when the fear catches you, to actually be able to calm your body in the quicksand as it's sucking you under, well, that's a different game, isn't it? That's the spiritual path. That's what we're talking about. That's what you are being invited to do right now. This is a leveling up. This is a leveling up. And it's a gift. And once you master it, you'll never be threatened by it again. You'll never be threatened by it again. That 10 of Swords energy. Whatever you're experiencing is painful now, but you'll be a match to it. You'll grow beyond it, and then you'll be even more strong and untouchable. This is the gift we're trying to give you. Please understand the way that we work with you. This is a school. We've placed you in here. We work with everything here. I've always known this about God, that God doesn't like to break her own rules. God made this earth school. She doesn't like to break her own rules. That is God speaking to you. So, okay. Yeah, I just heard getting down to the nitty gritty. Yeah. And this again, like there's some hard things here, but it's meant to actually this is meant to give you some kind of fast progress, I think. And there's some energy that is around and available for you. It is like being pulled down into the quicksand and realizing there's a branch there, but you were crying for your guides, and it's like, open your eyes. They're like, stop freaking out, calm your energy, and open your eyes. And there's a branch right there. Pull yourself out. That's what they're saying is interact with this space, interact with this life space. This is a spiritual school. That's your spiritual journey. If you ask us to do it, that's not the spiritual thing. Connecting with your guides and asking them to do it, that's not the spiritual thing. Just because you can connect with your guides, you can abuse that space. The ego can use that for the wrong purposes. We're not going to be used, that's what they're saying. So, yeah. Anything else? This has been an interesting reading. I just heard the enemy within. This is purging the enemy within. The desert conditions, there's something about the desert conditions, and I'm using that as a metaphor, although maybe some of you are finding yourself in a desert, I don't know. The desert conditions, they purge the enemy from within. Because when everything's lush and prosperous, the enemy is in there woo. And I mean the enemy that which works against you. That's that which is trying to mask as some kind of spiritual guidance or something like that. The ego is a sneaky one. It is. It wears all kinds of masks, which is why intuition is so important. But we have to know what is intuition. Anything else here, Spirit? There are certain things that need to change. Okay, and then they want to talk about healthy judgment. So there are certain things that need to change on the path to healing, on the path to spirituality, and the path to oneness. And recognizing what no longer serves you and what needs to change is the type of healthy judgment. It comes from within, it's full experiential, and it pushes you along that path. But the ego's version of judgment, the preferences and aversions that come from within but also from without, that's not the same thing. But a lot of times that kind of judgment will be used to kind of push you in the right direction. At first it'll be a burden, and then it's wish fulfillment. So again, seeing through process, seeing that this is just the beginning of a process, and that where you start is not where you're going to end up. Catherine, thank you so much for the $50. So the spiritual journey is all about process. So understanding that in any moment, I'm also hearing this too shall pass. That's another story. A king asked the wise man to bring him something to help him rule. And it was a ring that said, this too shall pass. So, every single thing will pass, understanding that this too shall pass, seeing through the lens of wisdom, how it is now. The ego wants to freak out because it thinks how it is now is how it's always going to be. And you have to rail against it, or otherwise you're just accepting this. Things always change. This too shall pass. And you were planted. That's the beginning. They pushed your little seed down here into the sand. That's just the beginning. And your process, you will grow into something different, and it will lead you. At first, just like the seed, at first it's burden, at first it's challenging, at first it requires strength and effort, and you really got to think about every little thing that you're doing and question it. And then it's wish fulfillment. Actually, whatever this is, and this is what I'm saying, you don't understand manifesting, is you've asked for something here. I think it's quite spiritual, to be honest. I think it's a destiny energy, and this is the path to get you there. You don't just, manifesting doesn't mean you just wake up at whatever it was that your ego said it wanted. You don't just wake up there. They were like, okay, this is the path to it. And if you're earnest and honest, and if you can see through the lens of wisdom, you'll engage and interact with this space. Nothing's wrong. They just want you to see clearly, and they want you to see clearly what is fantasy and what isn't. And then they also need you to see your pitfalls. If you manifest from the place of ego and you expect everything to be comfort, then you don't realize that you've got a hanger on here. So for some of you, it's they really don't want you to be bringing some kind of threatening energy, some kind of shark energy with you along your path. Yeah, and see, that shark just turned to a goldfish and then turned belly up. So this path, your enemies will not go with you into the desert, is what I'm hearing. They won't go in there. They don't want to stay as long. So you might be asked to stay there longer than is comfortable because your enemies won't care enough. And it's kind of getting rid of them. Yes. You have good things coming for you guys, pile number 3. I feel like it's financial independence and abundance. It's feeling comfortable here in your own energy. It is protecting things that are valuable and important to you. And it's learning with life, this nice, beautiful ebb and flow of learning when to take the lead and learning when not to. I'm also hearing that your destiny doesn't always mean that you're in that teaching position. The ego chases the teaching position or always knowing the truth, but a lot of times it means being a student. And I feel like Spirit has put you first. You'll be the student. Have you ever heard the teacher is the first student? So if you are going to teach something, first you have to learn it, but not through the mind. You have to learn it viscerally. So a lot of you, this is a learning experience. Now the desert doesn't sound so bad. Yeah. Peaches even grow in the desert. I love that. I love peaches. Okay. Anything else here, Spirit? This is all about a shift of perspective. I just saw the 5 of Pentacles. You feel left out in the cold, but there are mysteries to be explored. And I actually quite like being in the cold, but I've had an extreme aversion to it at first. But I feel very alive, when I'm out in the cold. That's what it's reminding me of. It is your church. Also, that is the church, the real church, being out in nature, being out in the elements, being in life, not being in the sanctuary, safe from life and encapsulated in from all of life, where you're comfortable and warm. This is the actual school. This is the actual temple. This is the actual sanctuary. So it's flipping your perspective of I just got thrown out into the cold. And really the true priest is welcome to the church, I think is what you meant to say. Welcome to the real church. I love that. Okay, anything else here, Spirit? You have anxiety. The first step is to find your balance point in the anxiety. Michael Singer, if you are looking for a spiritual, that might be important. He's my favorite, I think. Michael Singer says the most profound things, all of it's super rooted. And he says, he has this one talk where he's I'm going to teach you the most powerful tool known to the mystics and to the spiritualists. Relaxation. Learning how to genuinely bring your body and your energy down to a point of relaxation, which goes back to the quicksand metaphor, right? That is the most powerful tool that any spiritual person has, right? And they call that's like eating from the tree of life. That's the tree of life in the Garden of Eden. Those 2 trees, there's reference to 2 trees. It's your nervous system. It's moving into that parasympathetic nervous system. The one that's more calm and making all your decisions from that place. So this, I feel you need to understand. And again, maybe you have some kind of, they say when you love someone or you love something, take them off the pedestal that you've put them on. Spirituality is being asked by you to take it off the pedestal that you've put it on. It's very mundane. It is living. It is life. Spirituality and life are the same thing. And It's just the mundane. It's the same thing. Stop putting it up on a pedestal and instead just simply learn how to relax. That's the highest form of spirituality that this group will encounter, and it will be the most potent tool that you have in navigating this. So this is just about finding your balance. They've given you anxiety. You've asked for balance. You've potentially asked, again, Sagittarius, teacher, travel, culture, skill, something, and they've given you anxiety. And you thought, oh, that's not what I asked for. Yeah, it was. Yes, it was. Because you need to find this balance point. How can you find your balance point if you don't get put into a place of disharmony or like anxiety? So you're learning how to do this like from within. Yeah, this is like which path will you go down kind of a thing. Love and harmony or judgment. There's some kind of, and even like to get to this place here, harmony, love, whatever, it's like there's something that's like just being asked to come up and transform. So I feel like I've been talking forever, and this is the kind of message, I'm just going to tell you guys this, it's like uncomfortable for me to give, because I know a lot of people are uncomfortable with these topics, but it's like, why? Like, I don't know. Not everybody believes the same thing, but beliefs are in the state of the mind. And I feel like you're just being asked to learn what works and to be full and total in what it is that you do and fully integrate. And there are people, I don't think that they've really stuck around for this reading probably, but there are people that are kind of dipping their toe into spirituality and things like that. And they're exactly where they need to be as well with the tarot. But they're going to be asked to have a relationship with the tarot, genuinely, and like to know that actually you are partaking in a spiritual process. And even if you're uncomfortable with it and it's not your thing, you are not to, denigrate those who are deeply connected with it or like that, kind of an energy. Yeah. I've come to regard my CPTSD as a gift. Yeah. Okay, so there's going to be I'm hearing true to our word, there's going to be an aha moment here. There's going to be a light in the darkness. But you have to be calm to see it. I feel it'll arise within you. You have to be calm to see it. You cannot be in the state where you're protecting your ego or trying to stay small or trying to stay comfortable or whatever. You are being asked to actually step up into this emperor energy. There might be somebody who kind of comes at you, all right? And like, but you're just being asked to be strong in your emperor energy, and like you being calm here, watch spirit kind of come in and transform things. Okay, so that's what I have for pile 3. So now we will kind of move into the general messages if there's anything that spirit wants to say. Sagittarius true node. Definitely. Yeah. Okay. I just have to share this. Like, I know I've been sharing this a lot lately, like my total discomfort, because I feel like I'm more and more stepping out of my comfort zone, like in a lot of ways, and me using my strong voice, like my powerful voice of, like, I'm not like, there's certain things that I am unsure about, and like I will say that, but like where I'm certain, I want to speak strongly. And whenever I do, I like always feel weird. Like I always feel I'm going to turn people off, or, and it's different than speaking like meanly or cruelly. I'm not doing that. But it's like when I'm sure. And I just always feel like people don't want me to be powerful, or like it's a turn off when a woman especially like is standing in her power, like being, no, I'm certain about this. Like I'm sure about this, or this is the way, or, doesn't allow that like kind of wiggle room, for the ego to kind of wiggle around. I think there's something about female energy, or like females in general, that it's people expect them to be a source of comfort. I think it just like goes back to the mother, but the female, I'm so drawn to Vedic culture. It's so complete to me. It's so whole. And I love the way that they view the feminine. They have such a total and respectful view of the feminine. And, they've been colonized like everyone else. But, it's like, the female is always dual. So like there's the Parvati, but then there's the Kali. There's that like, you don't have feminine energy without like that death energy as well. They're portals, feminine energy is like literally a portal. Alanya, you speak with warmth and competence and strength. I saw that and I just so needed to hear that. My husband tries to tell me that too sometimes, where he's like, you very rarely come off like you're just being mean. And it's like, I just don't see that in myself because I just feel like I'm expected to be like to file my teeth down and like, but just it's a part of that feminine energy. It's like the bitch mother, that she protects her cubs. She protects what's vulnerable. She protects, like, you have to have teeth. You have to have claws. You have to have the willingness to like, to do that, to protect what's like valuable and important. And I just, every time I step more and more into that energy, it's weird because like internally, I just feel like such a hesitance and I prejudge myself. Maybe this is like the judgment energy in pile number 3. It's like, I judge myself before I even try to do it. And I'm like, oh, this is going to be taken this certain way. But then honestly, like very rarely is it even that way. Like when I actually have the courage to do it, I just don't feel like it actually ever is that way. Like in the real world, like everyone here obviously like is spiritual and like nice and everything. And like, I don't know. It's just, it hasn't ever been horrible. That's not true, but I don't know. I'm just saying that because it's like awkward for me to do. I feel like I'm doing it like right now, but it's awkward, but then whatever. I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Vanya, hey. Same girl, same. Yeah. Nurturing is what people need, I think, not what they want. Like true nurturing. Yeah. And nurturing is different than feeling comfortable all the time, You challenge your over politeness. We love that, Jess. Yeah. Because I am overly polite. I really am. So much Hermes energy. Amazing. And others. Aw. On point when you stretch. Yes, Critica. You know what else that I've realized is like the videos that I put out, which sorry I didn't put out the video this week. I had, issues and it'll come out next week. But the videos that I'm like, oh, this is like a scary one. I'm worried that people aren't going to like that. My channel grows more when I put those out. It's like better. The results are somehow better in the videos where I'm like, oh, people probably aren't going to like this. Your truth is comfort. Yeah, see, that's spoken like somebody who is like spiritual, Sarah. Thank you. Truth is comfort. All right. I feel like maybe that's like the overall message. I feel like that's a very powerful message. I don't know if it's for me or if it's for everyone, that truth is comfort. Not only is truth God, but truth is genuinely comfort. Because the opposite of truth is delusion. And if you live your life in a state of delusion, that's when those like weird surprises come up that like actually surprise you. It feels like a snake in the grass. And but it's not really. It's just that you weren't in somehow aware of or in alignment with truth in that moment, which should bring up some kind of questions and like a debriefing process of like, well, what did I miss? And because I was looking where, or because I was thinking about it this way, but then it was actually that way, and coming from that beautiful neutrality, that beautiful place of neutrality, of like not judging it, like, well, I was so stupid and I was so bad and I was so wrong, but just like, well, clearly I missed something here and I just want to make sure that I'm revisiting it, Oh, yes. Okay. Our little fireside chats. I love it. Oh, I'm so glad. Okay. So, Spirit, what else do you want to say? Okay, they're singing to me again in my head. It's been like a coup this whole time. Like, I just wanted you to know this is me trying. Like, they're just bringing it back to like, we know you're trying. Thank you for trying. I'm hearing you bring your full self to this process, and it really is noted by us. Like, it really is. Okay, interesting. I'm wondering if some of you are experiencing some kind of creative blockage or something like that, or it's just not the time to go forward with something. Maybe you feel thwarted in like some kind of a way, but there is a blockage here, and you're just being blocked until, again, like you're harmonizing the inner realm of giving and receiving. And again, linking back to truth. Yeah. Hold on, because it won't be seen correctly. There's something here, okay, where it is like a blockage in a creative energy or some kind of gift. Or for some of you, it's like a communication from a person. Or maybe you want to offer communication to a person. It can go either way. Like either somebody here wants to offer you their cup of love, or you want to offer something to a person and it's like an apology, but you're being held off. Or you're hesitant to do it because you feel like somebody here is this dragon, this like fire-breathing dragon. So you kind of tiptoe up and you tiptoe back. And that's being held off. Like, again, so the balance of giving and receiving can be managed. You're also meant to ask yourself, why you want to offer this apology or this truth. Because for some of you, it's like, okay, well, I want to bring this comfort into this person. But I think it might have more to do with yourself than this person at this current time. At this current time. It may, you want to comfort yourself because you want You want to feel better about whatever's gone on. You want them to know that you didn't mean to, or you want to bring them your cup of love or your offering or something like that. But it's more about your own ego and, again, the preferences and aversions, and you want to feel comfortable again, and it's just, they're just wanting you to kind of take note of this and then settle into like that, again, that relaxation technique that we were talking about. And this is balancing the energies of giving and receiving. It says, why do you want to give this? Why do you want them to receive this? And they're not able to receive this right at this current time, or they would be distrustful of you. They're not able to receive this in the way that you want them to receive this. And it's not because you need to find the most perfect word to say it so that they understand where you're coming from. It's because the energies are off. So they're saying, again, you want healing, you want connection, you want forgiveness, you want something like that. If you truly want that, then you need to go within yourself and balance out the energies of giving and receiving within yourself and understand why you want to give this and understand the selfishness in it. Again, neutrally, without judgment, without judging yourself. Just see that it's there. Okay, I'm actually doing this, and there's like an urgency. I'm chomping at the bit in order to be able to do this because I want to give this because I'm ready now. But also understanding that perhaps whatever's gone on here in the past or something, like this person is not necessarily ready, and they do have boundaries up, and there's some kind of blockage or obstacle here. Because the truth is that I feel like something here has been like a burden. And there's karma to be worked through, like with this, and there's negative energy to be cleaned up. So it's a part of a process. So I think this is another thing your guides want you to know is like, we're working on it. I'm hearing we're working on it. We're working on opening these avenues and these paths for you to be able to offer this love or comfort or message. But it's a process, just like we were talking about before. And the things that you are bumped up against now, which is, I think this is this person that you want to reach out to, and it's like you want to give them the cup of love. You feel like, okay, and then that's the 10 of cups, right? You can have everything together. It's peaceful. It's whatever. And you feel like maybe this person is comfortable. They're living their best life, or they're just fine, and you're in this state of scrutiny with the Queen of Swords about this, or like she's also got a quill in her hand. She wants to write something. So, and she wants to share her truth here in this situation, right? But you're being placed in this is a part of the process that's unfolding. And again, they're saying like, this is part of like what we were saying of not understanding manifesting is like, it's not you manifesting something doesn't mean like, okay, well now all of a sudden like they sent me a message or I sent them a message and it got through. It doesn't mean that. You are actually pulling this in right now. It just looks like this for the current time being, because there is some kind of decision that you need to make, and it has to do with balancing your own energy. So so this, whatever this is in front of you that's manifested itself, that you want to make better, and you want to rush in with the night of, you want to rush in, okay? You think it's a matter of like saying the right words because you understand logically. You understand certain things, like you did something wrong, but this is meant to be like a change in your whole body, in your whole energy system. Like, allow it to take root in you. So like there's a process that's actually going on that they want you to participate in. And because you got it in your mind, you're kind of shutting down that process because now you're looking outwards into the external world to say, I want to say this now because I understand this logically, mentally. Remember they were saying it's easy to say, harder to do. It's easy to say, harder to do. Easy to say, harder to do. You can say sorry, but it's harder to be sorry. It's harder to actually genuinely make amends. Think about that word amend, to amend something. It's harder to genuinely make amends. And I feel like there's something here where it's like I'm seeing somebody like amend a garment together or amend a karmic contract. That's what I'm seeing. You need to actually make an amendment on your side of things. But you do that through your energy. You amend your karmic contracts through your energy, through actually changing your energy. So you've come in here, for some of you, it's like you've come in here, you've gotten some kind of information from life that you understand logically, and then you want to rush to do it. But this is just the beginning of the process. It's just the beginning of the process. And you think because you understand it logically that you're meant to like take some kind of step in the internal world, but no, you're actually ready to alchemize internally. I'm hearing, welcome, spiritualist. Welcome home, you're an adept. And so you're meant to be doing this and learn from this here and get past your own defensiveness here. And I always think of the brainstem with this, like that tree to me just looks like the brainstem. It's like getting over that like animalistic nature, that primal nature, the instinctive nature. And actually this is you ending a cycle, and this is amending the karmic contract. This is you actually making amends. So you have a karmic contract here where you do need to be genuinely sorry. And for some of you, flip the energies. There's somebody like this with you that like wants to come in like this, but either way this is occurring on one side or the other. This is how you change the karmic contract, is genuinely by changing your energy. No words need to be spoken. I think that you have a focus on the words, or you have a focus on a message or some kind of a communication. That is a very rudimentary form of communicating in this regard. So just put it to the side. Stop focusing on like the culmination of the message. I think you want that, and they're like noted, like we will manifest this for you. But that will just be the end. It'll be the bow, like the bow on the end of it when you've actually changed your energy. They want you to focus on work, like focus on your routines, focus on your energy, like when you're in those places. Celebrate people who need celebrating as something as well. Like, yeah, be comfortable taking a back seat, or, and I think for some of you, it's like you might find yourself like in the spotlight, something like that. Yeah, it's so much. This isn't about the words. The apology here is, I think you feel this is a spiritual connection with this person. Yeah, you're just so sad. You're just so sad in regards to this, and you worry. You're worried about karma. You're worried about justice. You want to make things right. You want to make things balanced. And because this is so strong, again, they're noting like, we feel you. That's why this is manifesting. It's true. It's actually coming from your heart. And for some of you, this is connecting you to your heart space. We've seen that come out in some readings here where it's like they're trying to connect you to your heart space, having visceral experiences, and it might feel uncomfortable. And that's where they're saying it's like you're actually trying to take the heat off of yourself by rushing in to say something or to try to make things better. It doesn't need to be made better right now. It's currently in the process of being made better in a much deeper way than you can ever fathom. Whatever's going on here, it's a longer journey. It's a longer journey. Listen to us, like listen to your guides, listen to like the higher self. For some of you, this is a journey that will end in marriage in this lifetime or another lifetime. But we need like to plant the roots. And for me, the Queen of Pentacles is a sign of overcoming your lower natures, because it's connected to Shravana and Uttara Ashada energy, which again, like it's unstoppable victory. This process, when you're engaged with it as earnestly as you are, has unstoppable victory. So put down the worry. That's what they want. They want you to put down the worry that it's not going to happen because it's not happening the way you want and on the timeline that you want. Put down the worry that it's not going to happen. It is going to happen, but it needs to happen our way. It needs to happen in a way that you don't understand. It needs to happen the spiritual way. It needs to happen from the inside out, from this like internal change. It needs to happen that way. There's been some hurt here. There's been some betrayal. You do need to continue to get a different perspective on it. So does this other person. I'm seeing the key here. It's like you have the key. The key is there. But it needs to become like more manifest. There's something here that does need to become more manifest. And you need to maybe get over your fear of being blamed or like being judged here in this space as well. That's also a part of it. But it's like when you've made amends, I'm hearing first make amends with yourself. Like when you've made amends with yourself, then, which means first do no harm. So if you are doing a behavior that has resulted in harm, you first need to cease doing that behavior, like completely. And this is the process. It's like, yeah, it's something like that word process. It's like they just want you to start thinking of spirituality and things like as a process. Well, I want to apologize. Okay, well, you think about apology as like being a moment in time. You think of an apology very superficially in a way that's meaningless, like on a spiritual path of like, I just want to say the words I'm sorry to you. And I do have emotion behind it. And I just want you to know that. But they're saying the type of thing that they have in mind and that is actually required here for this situation is so much more than that, more than you could ever imagine. And so much good is coming from this space, even though it feels uncomfortable. Discomfort is another big theme here. They just want you to get comfortable with the discomfort. The discomfort's teaching you. It's guiding you. It's telling you, I think you need to sit in discomfort for longer than you think you do, because you'll never do it again. Like you'll never go back and do it again when you sit with it. They don't want to take the pressure off for whatever reason here. Love that this has become my safe space. Oh, I'm so glad. How do I stop being nervous about it? I think like so many of the messages that were coming through in pile number 3, I just want to say, I think you should listen to Michael Singer, Janae. Like look up Michael Singer. I wish I could remember like the exact one that I've listened to. I just listened to so much of his stuff, but it's like something about like the most powerful technique or something. Like if you Google that, but this is how you stop being anxious. I feel like this is the realm of the spiritual teachers, right? Like meditation, people who can really guide you into like the depths of meditation. And there's so many different techniques and stuff, and finding the one that vibrates with you is your journey. It's a process. They're like, we don't want Jess to just be able to tell you the answer. She couldn't even if she wanted to, and she earnestly wants to, but it's like, It's meant for you to, this is a part of your self-discovery. This is a part of your process because there's so many different meditation techniques and relaxation techniques. It's okay if you need help at first. Okay, they're saying get a massage. And like when you're getting a massage, that's what they're giving me that as an example, because with a massage, somebody's helping you through that process because they're helping to put you into a state of relaxation. So it's okay to receive help here at first. Like there's certain modalities where you are aided in feeling that, essential oils and all that stuff is external to you, but then invest in a practice of meditation, find those meditation teachers, listen to, find your guru, find your, does Adi Shanti speak to you? Does Eckhart Tolle speak to you? Does Michael Singer speak to you? Do you like doing, visual meditations? Do you like just sitting in silence? This is a part of discovery of you. So it's a pertinent question you've asked, but that question was meant to send you off on a journey. There's not meant to be an answer to it. That's another thing. It's it's not said enough. There's not always meant to be an answer. Sometimes it's meant to put you in a stasis or something like that. So, love a massage. I want a massage so bad too. Somatic exercises that's the same for me as well. As my body is so intimately tied to my spiritual practice and stuff. I'm scared of the body, to be honest. It's gonna die one day and things can go wrong and I just get so scared of it. But so my spirit guides will just insist that I go through the body. But it's getting to know yourself in that way here. Yeah, okay. The Hermit, this is a long-term process with the Knight of Pentacles here. There's so much earnestness in this group of people, in this group of human beings. I just want to say that there's you are so earnest. You are so sincere on this journey. And please know that. It's all these messages that are coming through to help you shift. And it's well, we really do have to put the kibosh on this and move it into this. It's just because you're ready. It doesn't mean that you're doing anything wrong or that you're not earnest. You are so earnest. It's go within and you will very clearly be able to see what's blocking you. So, okay, Maple says, I feel like I needed a break, like a vacation, but I wonder now if maybe that was my ego wanting to escape the process. It might be, but I saw something the other day, and I think about this often. What I was thinking about is that, all this stuff, shadow work, processing, it's hard. It is exhausting. And it's okay to rest. It's okay to take a break. That's a part of the journey as well. We're awake during the day and then we rest at night. For every inhale, there's an exhale. Rest and relaxation is an intimate part of this process. We need to be making sure that we're doing our self-care, that we're giving ourselves a break. It's also where we integrate. And I've always noticed that for myself. If I'm trying to learn a skill or something and I go too hard at it, because I'm always doing that. I always overdo it on the doing and the learning and the trying. And I always find that if I just rest, if I just take 2 or 3 days off, then I actually come back stronger and more integrated and more clear and better able to do things, not just with my spiritual work here, but with anything. It's such a vital part of the process. So again, play around in that space. Just know that that's a question. It's not meant to be answered now. So if you go on vacation, pay attention to how it affects you. It's okay to take time to get to know yourself. This is another thing. It's you're not doing anything wrong if you don't know the immediate answer, and this is where moralizing everything comes in, which I do feel a lot of us, I can speak from being raised in the Christian church, but I think it's the same for a lot of other more fundamental religions is there's this sense of well, if you do the wrong thing, there's such an emphasis on what you do, but what you do is a byproduct of so many things, so many internal processes and forces, a lot of them that can be outside of your control. So don't think about karma specifically too as okay, well, I did this certain thing. It's don't focus on just the doing. It's not, Spirit's not trying to just get you on a technicality. It's just tend the space where everything kind of comes from. It's okay to play around with it and say, well, I got this inkling that I feel like I need to go on vacation. To be completely honest, I'm not sure what voice that is. I can only experiment in that space. I'm going to heed that. I'm going to take a vacation and I'm going to see if I actually genuinely feel more rejuvenated or if I was just trying to explore, but bring your consciousness to it. That's all it is. That's all it is. It's just a prompt in your space and have fun with it. Learn how you work. Learn how you interact with this space. I just feel you're just being invited to embrace this experience we call life fully. Don't be afraid to. The spiritual teachings that make you afraid to, well, if I put one toe wrong, that's very group 2, right? If I put one toe wrong, Spirit's going to put the kibosh on me, but it won't. It won't. Not with this group. You're too earnest. You don't have a problem with that. So, find it hard to go on vacation or relax. I need to work on that. So that, again, like that relaxation is the most powerful tool. Because I said that for one of the groups. It's like learning how to master that, learning how to value that, seeing that as a powerful tool, if not the most powerful tool in your arsenal. Because that's like, you know, you're able to kind of work with the energy that you're bringing to the table. Work on the tendons, and we need to go deep. And yeah, and it's not about being perfect, like Catherine said. It's not about that. Perfect is ineffable and it's subjective. And what does that even mean? You know, it's just about, you know what? I'm called to say this. I always think this. Life is the Kobayashi Maru, which in Star Trek, that was Dr. Spock like created the Kobayashi Maru to put pilots through. And basically it's like a visual thing. It's unwinnable. The whole point of it is that it's unwinnable. And I feel like so many of us, my husband and I were talking about this the other day, of like the lens of like thinking that you win at life or you're losing. And it's just not helpful to think of it that way. There's no winning here. You will die at the end of this. There's no getting out of this. It's just how the whole point of the Kobayashi Maru was to see how pilots react in the face of certain death. How they can be noble. And then having that information, how they can work in that space. Life is the Kobayashi Maru. There's no winning. You're just in the process. You know, you're not getting out of it. So who are you and what comes forth from you in this space? That's all it is. You're not meant to be perfect. You're meant to be you. Yeah. It's just a process. And when you take that view, it's like there's no pinnacle. There's nothing you're supposed to do. There's no like overall winning. It's just being in that space. Yeah, Yeah, that was definitely pile number 2. They want to attack if we're not perfect. But that's a very reactionary state. And like just coming out of that, you know? So your guilt creeps in. Oh my gosh. Yeah, because it's so like the Western world is very like go, 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 go. I used to heed my need to be a perfectionist. You know, perfectionism is so linked to CPTSD. We've been talking about that because it's the walking on eggshells kind of thing of like, if I'm just perfect, then they won't yell at me, you know, and I won't have to internalize it. And you think that you can deactivate all their mess, and you feel like it's your responsibility and that you're supposed to. So it lends itself to the perfectionism. I'm going for a 3-day art of living yoga meditation. Oh my gosh. That's so fun. I love stuff like that. Like it just brings my spirit to life, you know? Okay. Anything else here, spirit? I just heard take comfort in each other. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Teamwork. This is the card of team. Oh my gosh. This is so beautiful. Yeah, this is so beautiful. I'm hearing just build safe spaces. Somebody said that this is their safe space. Like this is like soulmate connections here. Like just build that, build friendships, build this like kind of solid connection. I do feel like there's people that are watching us like interact in these spaces. They're like kind of drawn in and they feel a type of way about it. They feel like uncertain. You know, I don't know if it's like displays of love or just displays of connection or just like getting along, speaking in a very high vibrational way. And it like makes people feel like weird or like they're watching it, but it's meant to like give them an idea as well. And like give them some kind of change in fortune and maybe even some kind of quick results and like to bring them in to this as well. I'm just hearing like, yeah, like you don't even know the kind of manifestation work that's going on here. Yay. We're not on any piles now, Roy. We're just at the general messages. We're kind of just wrapping things up. Yay. Actually been resting my body for a while. Went to the hospital. Oh, well, I'm glad you're feeling better. All right, Spirit. Anything else? And then we'll kind of wrap this up. I just saw like the giving and receiving thing. Strength. This is all in an effort to help you find your strength. I think, okay, how do I want to explain this? This is like mastering the storm, okay? And at first, okay, the storm serves its purpose. Because see, she's like holding back this twister, this tornado. And remember we were talking about egos, preferences, and aversions. So of course, we don't want the twister to come knock down all of our building. But you are confronted with the twister, the tornado of your life so that you can master it, so that you know how to deal with it and that you no longer need it. So it's your teacher and then you kind of master it. And as Yoda says, he says, as teachers, we are the rock that they grow beyond. So like the twister, it comes through to teach you whatever this metaphorically may be. And then when you can master it, you've mastered the lesson, right? So don't be worried about this. This is all to like help you grow in your confidence. It's all to help you grow in your strength, to find your peace, to find your harmony, to find your balance, to find your love, to get out of a state of confusion here. And like, look at this person. I'm always drawn to like this person, their face, like behind the counter. Don't they just look like they're up to no good, or they're like judging her options? Again, we were talking about the sands and the whirlwind of having all the options, and like that being an incredibly destabilizing, unsettling place. Like, you're meant to just like know what's for you, to know the higher cup, to take the higher cup, to hear the higher voice. All of this is just training you how to do that. You know, and I'm seeing like clicker training with a dog, of like training your focus and attention. Okay, yeah, this is the last thing we'll say, and then we'll wrap this up. A focused mind is a strong mind. This is why meditation is practiced. Spirituality is not about becoming weak. It's not about codependency. It's not about being a doormat. It is about becoming strong. And a focused mind is a strong mind. So you're learning how to focus your attention. And all of life is teaching you this. There is not a single time and place you are not in a spiritual classroom when you don't have to go to a sanctuary. We can, in order to more consciously connect with that. And that can be a very rejuvenating part. But just because you're not in a sanctuary or in a temple or placing an offering on an altar, that does not mean that you are not engaged in a spiritual process. You are always, at every single moment, engaged in a spiritual process. That's what this is. And once you understand that, you can actually take in all of the lessons that are around you as spiritual feedback. So, I'm sure Spirit loves me. Yes. And again, when somebody loves you, it doesn't mean that they don't tell you the hard truths. It doesn't mean that they don't hold you accountable. They can still love you, but also like be honest and be real with you, right? And Spirit's the same way. So, I worry I've taken too much time to figure things out. That's the anxiety, right? But there's no such thing. You have all the time that you need, you know? My existence has been a challenge for many. You have created a sanctuary for us, Jess. We have created the sanctuary together. Yeah. Spirit's my gangsta. Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. Thank you guys once again for spending this Friday together. For those of you who are on Patreon, we do have a live stream tomorrow. I'm doing the bonus one, and I put a poll over there so that we can choose the reading topic that we wanted to do. Originally, I was going to do an 18+ one, but then the last video that I put up over on Patreon got flagged as 18+, which sometimes does happen, especially like with certain decks that I use. There'll be like an image or something that the Google system just doesn't like, and then we contest it, and then somebody reviews it, and they're like, oh yeah, this isn't 18+, and usually it's fine. But for whatever reason, that last video, it came up 18+. It's okay because my Patreon is 18+, but I'm just, because I'm confused about like exactly what went on and stuff, I'm just feeling a little like maybe I shouldn't do the 18+. Not shouldn't, but just like maybe, I don't know, maybe it would be a hassle for, I don't know. So anyways, I put a poll up there to see what we want to do on the live stream over there. And I included the, like, just keep the original one. That's one of the choices. So for those of you who are going to be over there, don't forget to vote if you care, for our live stream tomorrow. It will be at 10 a.m. And yay. So I think that's really the last thing. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. The schedule of the reading posts just got pushed back a week just so I could tend to my own energy. So the next one's coming out on Wednesday, and it is What They've Heard About You. All right. Oh my gosh, I'll Make a Man Out of You from Mulan. Love it. Okay. Bye, guys. I'm so glad that you liked today's reading. This is one that I feel like this is going to be maybe polarizing. There's certain people who are really drawn into it and love it, but there's maybe some people who are resistant, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. And I hope that if this was maybe more of a challenging one, or you're on the fence about it, you know, it's something that you can just kind of consider in your energy with neutrality. So, all right. And maybe it's not for some people as well. That's also a possibility. Okay. Bye, guys.